Right now on BBC Two, an afternoon of live Challenge Cup Rugby League, introduced by Mark Chapman.
Fast game in fine weather gets going, and the game continues at a furious pace. Heroes of the match. And it's gone! They missed it! Fans go wild! What a magnificent try! That's it for sure!
It is Challenge Cup quarter-final weekend. We have two games for you on the BBC, and this afternoon we are in France. Hull are there as well as they take on Catalan Dragons for a place in the semi-finals of this famous competition. And as you can see, the Challenge Cup trophy is in the studio with me, alongside John Wilkin and Jonathan Davis and Ian Millward. Plenty to talk about with the three of them. And in France for us as well, we've got Brian Noble. Looks a little bit overcast there. Quel dommage, as they say, when it's lovely and cracking the flags here in the UK. Listen, we'll come on to the game you're about to watch very shortly. But, Brian, I want to talk to you first about the Super League restructuring, which everybody's talking about this week. The top division will go down to 12 clubs in 2015. Are you happy with that?
Well, it's a decision that's been made, and we've all got opinions. I probably am happy. I think there's a recognition within the game that losing a couple of clubs from that top level will hopefully improve the quality, as long as the clubs are managed in the right ways. And, you know, some have advocated even down to 10 to try and increase the intensity and get our teams ready for the tougher competition or international football. It's been a huge debating point, as you quite rightly say, Mark, and they've decided that it will go down to 10. 12, sorry.
To 12, yeah. As the Catalan Dragons come out to warm up behind you. And I've no idea what that is. But you've got all sorts behind you at the moment, Brian. Are you happy with it, even though there is... Obviously, your club at the moment would be in a relegation battle. Are you a fan of relegation and promotion?
Yes, I am. I personally would have preferred to have seen a team that's coming up not to have the yo-yo effect of maybe a 2-year stay of execution, so you can't go down in your first year. But, you know, the public in the UK and the tribalism of sport in the UK dictates probably that promotion and relegation. I think the modern word for it is, somebody was saying jeopardy. They want that element of jeopardy. Well, it's still promotion and relegation, and somebody goes down and it affects livelihoods and it increases the intensity and the media aspect of fighting for something, if you like, at the bottom end of the table. And I think it's the right decision. Whether the right format has been found, I'm not sure, and I think debates are still taking place.
Brian, stay there. We're going to come back to you very shortly. We want your views on this as well. If you tweet us, #BBCRL, and then tell us what you think, you can email us as well. Are we at the moment, John, and obviously you can put your hat on as chair of the player union in this as well, are we sure why it has to go down from 14 to 12?
I think if we look at the reasons for changing the structure, there's a couple of reasons why it needs to happen. I think one is to ensure we've got a really vibrant competition. Another would be to ensure that commercially the clubs are viable and sustainable to go forward and, you know, into the competition. And I think we've got to be conscious that we're doing it for the right reasons. I think for the players, I think simplicity is the key. We balloted the players and overwhelmingly they favoured a simple promotion relegation option. Obviously, there's a second revised structure there, which is quite complicated, of the 12s that splits to 8s, then to 4s, then the grand finals, which is, you know, just saying it. It sounds quite complicated, but saying it is a lot more complicated than it actually is.
Well, saying it or reading it. I mean, we have tried to put the two options, as we've said before, on a graphic, and obviously one of the options does look an awful lot simpler than the other. Proposal 1 we have on 2 lines. Proposal 2 we have on 5 or 6 lines, Ian.
Yeah, look, first question, I can see where you're coming from, and why are we doing this? Is it only for promotion and relegation, or is there a commercial aspect to generate more money into the game? And then the other part too is if you make any changes, you've got to remember there's going to be consequences and there's also going to be some negativity. And I think it's got to be the step by step, because if you go the radical one to start with, it's going to be very hard to pull back off that. My biggest issue is what sort of funding is the team's going to get in the second tier so they can come up, and do they have the financial clout to supplement the money they are going to get themselves up?
I think that's going to be, you can't answer those questions now because you'll have to wait till it happens. But I think it's however you look at it, it's relegation. And as Ian said, the question is why. They've had franchise and a kind of a safety fence, and now it's gone to relegation and promotion. Yeah, relegation promotion does create interest in the media. But again, if you cut the sides, it's less games. So, you've got to look at the economy side of it. It has to be cut, I think, to make it a vibrant competition and make it a competitive competition. But it is very difficult. We'll have to wait and see, John, how it all pans out, to be honest.
I think one of the things that's coming up here is that there's a lot of questions that would need to be answered. For us to go for the complicated structure, I think, look, the number of games is an issue. I understand from the more complicated structure that the players will be playing more games, there'll be more games, and I think we've spoke about a game about reducing that number for a number of years to create some intensity, and I think it's kind of contradicting that, but also, like I said, it goes back to the commerciality of the sport. If the revised complicated structure means that the clubs are sustainable, and it means that the game survives and that players' contracts are honoured because the clubs are doing good business, then it's good for the game. And I think we need to look at a whole wide solution for the game, not just a structural change.
If it means the survival of the game, that's great. What could it mean to the survival of the so-called expansion clubs? We've got Catalan this afternoon. We've got London Broncos as well. If they were in a position where they're going to drop out of the top flight, are they then going to be able to survive in the Championship? If we're looking at the financial viability of the clubs, London are bottom at the moment.
The Catalans look very strong, don't they? And you wouldn't see them in the bottom four at the current position.
But keep in mind there, Jonathan, they were given like a reprieve for 5 years. They were exempt from anything, and that's why they are strong now.
It is, but look at the Broncos, for example. They'll be staring down the barrel, won't they? So it's going to be very. And also, like, when are they going to announce? Okay, is this happening for next year? So the next two next season go down, is it? When are they going to announce that? No one knows yet.
There are still so many questions. This is the point.
And that's the thing. I think the RFL, to be fair, have gone through a rigorous sort of consultation process with the clubs and the players. But I think let's be open and honest about why are we changing things? What's the reason behind it? And get 2 or 3 reasons why we're changing it nailed down and communicate that with everybody. And I think then maybe start to answer some questions off the back of that.
And you have to applaud them because, when they've been brave in making changes on the field and off the field, and so far it's been successful. But it is a balance of, too many games, level of competition. It's some people say that you need 10 sides to really get those players up and ready for international rugby. So we haven't got enough good players to play 12. So there's that side of it, but then you need more games for the clubs to survive.
There are an awful lot of questions, and it's not particularly simple. And if you can fit your solution into 140 characters, you'll be doing very well indeed. But we do want your thoughts, both for today and tomorrow when we're on as well. So just tweet us, #BBCRL, #BBCRL. You can email us as well. Right, that's enough of structure. Let's look at some action, shall we? Because it is the Challenge Cup quarter-final weekend, and it got underway last night as Sheffield's 15-match winning run came to an end at the hands of the aforementioned London Broncos. Michael Witt's try midway through the first half put them 6-0 up. Sheffield got back into it through that try from Scott Turner just before the half hour, and then just after the half hour, Jamie Soward scored this superb solo try. Ian, a state of origin scrum half, brought in on short-term deal for the Broncos for one specific reason, do you think?
The reason is to get them into the Challenge Cup final, and highly decorated player in Australia. He'll only do a short-term because he will go back to the NRL next year. He had a fallout with his current club, but he did bring some experience, but he also brought some enthusiasm. They stuttered very early with the amount of ball they had, London. Actually, they were quite poor with the ball. There, Menzieri, the Papua New Guinean centre, he was very good when he got the ball, but he didn't get it frequent enough because they coughed the ball up so much. So it was a stuttering win by London, but it'll give them confidence. And the most important thing with Challenge Cup, you're in the draw for the next round.
They're in the draw for the next round. We'll have that draw for you live on BBC tomorrow after the Warrington-Huddersfield game, which is our second live game of the weekend. You've got Wigan against Widnes on Monday night. This afternoon, though, it's all about Catalan Dragons against Hull FC, a game which will see a real mix of experience and youth. It's going to be fascinating, this, isn't it? I mean, both sides do have experience and youth.
Yeah, I think all coaches are looking for that right balance of experience and youth. And I think in these two sides we see some of the real exciting characteristics youth can bring in speed and intensity through Ascari, particularly for me, who's been fantastic all year for Catalans, and Crooks also, who's been getting some huge plaudits for what he's been doing in his try-scoring ability. And then you flip to the other side of it, we've got Price and Menzies, and you know, Menzies is beyond experienced, isn't he? You know, with the number of years he's had 2 careers worth of experience. And then we've got O'Mealy and Ellis. You know, Ellis, such a quality international player. So we've got a nice balance there. I think the key to it will be the experience and the experience in the halves that Catalan have, and they seem to have more experience in that area.
So given the experience that Catalan have there, and also the run that Hull are on, how difficult is this for the Black and Whites this afternoon?
Oh, it's very difficult. It's a difficult place to go. You know, it's the travelling, you're out of your comfort zone. You know, they play a slightly different kind of game. Really. They're very abrasive and aggressive, and of course the conditions. It doesn't look very warm out there, but I spoke to David Woods, the commentator. He was lying on the beach this morning, so it is. That'd be a sight. That'd be a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah, well, yeah. He was getting in the zone.
Yeah, of course he was. Of course he was.
Likes to
of course
prepare.
he was. So I think it's very, you know, it's a difficult place to go. But as I said, they're on a run of bad results. The Challenge Cup, just forget about it. Look, just get out. It's a one-off game, and that could kind of reignite their season.
Even when we have games in this country, he goes and has a lie down on Blackpool Beach before we start.
Of course he does, yeah.
And you've tipped Catalans to make the final, Ian, haven't you?
Yeah, I like them because this is a home playoff, and it's really important when you get down this stage, you get in that home game. You've got a good, strong pack of forwards. The big thing is Scott Duro is just coming back into his own. With Price, they've got experience. I think that's where they'll win it in the halves today, and that's really important in Challenge Cup quarterfinals.
Well, Ian mentioned Scott Duro there. And there is no doubt, is there, John, that if Catalans get to the final, there'll be a lot of people in the game delighted for him.
Yeah, he's had such a tough sort of, I imagine, a life-changing experience. You know, I think we all sort of float through our professional sporting careers, and for me personally, you know, it's been a series of achievements and good things happen, and things like this, a setback to your actual health and a risk to your life, really does give you focus. And I think he's a tremendous professional. I actually think the news stories that have been generated off the back of it have shown what a great guy Scott Duro is and what an asset to the sport he is as well.
Just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
Everything.
It does. And he comes across as a great guy now, as you will see, because here is Scott Duro's story in his own words.
It's a roller coaster, is the best way I can describe it. Last year I'd had a good year. Then to have the news that I had, everything's come crashing back down to earth. I was just having headaches nearly every day really through the pre-season. It just come up quickly, and yeah, I just sort of put up with it. I didn't say too much, just was having to sleep in the afternoon because I wasn't feeling really good, which for me is, I never really have a sleep in the day, so that's when I sort of thought maybe you know, it is a bit more serious. You know, maybe I need to do something about it. My auntie works at an optometrist, thought I might need some glasses, the reason for the headaches. So I said to her, can I come in and see, you know, your boss and get some glasses? Yeah, no worries. Went in, did a few preliminary tests and things. She said, I want you to go have a CT scan. Bit of a shadow I'm not happy with. And, you know, an hour later they said, you've got a brain tumour. You don't want to say the worst, but anything could have happened really. It was a scary time.
Catalan Dragons' Scott Duro is recovering from an operation to remove a tumour behind his eye. There's no time frame for when the scrum half will return to the game.
I had some trouble with some double vision and things after the surgery, which is a common side effect. It took about 4 months for that to completely come back to normal with my vision and things, and obviously in that time there was not much I could do when you can't quite see properly. It was, you know, I was partially in training but couldn't really do too much. I was a lot of things by myself. In the gym and things like that, which was very frustrating. You know, I think I said I played every game last year, and this year I could barely even train for the first couple of months. So it was frustrating. But once I'd had the all clear and vision come back, it was back to full steam ahead.
Oh, it's intercepted. Well read.
I feel really good. I feel physically strong. It's now just getting some games under my belt and getting the confidence back again. I feel like I'm a little kid again. You know, I've just started playing again. I haven't really had a big break in my career like I've had now this year, so hopefully now I can get a run of games together and be ready for the Challenge Cup quarter-final and hopefully further if we can, and the rest of the Super League season as well. There's still a long way to go, and you know, hopefully I can be right there in the end of it, and we can have some sort of say somewhere.
Jonathan, you said going into it, it puts it all into perspective, which it does. And it's a remarkable effort to be back within 9 months, isn't it, of first discovering it?
Well, you know, from experience, when something like that happens to you, just everything goes on stop. You know, you don't care about anything else. You know, you got nothing to worry about apart from your own health. And you know, living in France as well, that would have been difficult, I suppose, to start. So I believe he went back to Australia. But you know, you just every day you just take one day as it comes, and he's had the all clear, and that's all you can hope for. And now, as he said, he can resume his career, forget about everything, and just look forward. And you do have a different kind of outlook on life then when something like that happens to you. You know, life changing. So now you can imagine what a story that would be if he walks out on in Wembley.
It will, won't it? But do you still think he has to get back to game fitness, Ian?
Well, your halfback is your general, gets you around the field, and he's there to inspire you with the attack, but also inspire you with the direction you send players to do. I think they'll be very inspired by what he's done off the field. They'll see another side of him that he's quite courageous, and the way his application to beating it. He's been a bit off his game, but that's only natural. I can't imagine what he'd be going through just getting back playing contact sport, let alone having to direct around a team and be responsible for their actions. So I couldn't imagine that. He is a little bit underdone. If they can get through today and in coming weeks, that's what I'm saying, semi-final, final, I think they'll be good. But they do rely on him, and they have missed him.
I think John alluded earlier, I think that will be the difference, I think. You know, they got the experience, and Price is a very good, when the forwards got on top and he's running the show, then, you know, Leon Price taking the ball up, that's the difference.
And great players can get back to form very quickly, can't they? And I think this is a big game for Duro today, and all that's gone before will be out of his mind right now. I'm telling you, warming up for such a big game today, his focus will be on producing a fantastic performance and getting Catalans into the next round.
Well, let's go back to France, shall we, and get the thoughts of both coaches who've been speaking with Tanya Arnold.
Yeah. Peter, you've had a few injury worries coming into this, but Ben Crooks is fit. How pleased are you about that?
Yeah, it's good. He's in good form, so it's always good to get those sort of players back in. Jared Rundle did a good job last week, but obviously the way Ben's playing, he's going to come straight back in.
It's a big game. I mean, in a season, you've got opportunities to improve and opportunities to make the season will be good. And today, that's an opportunity we don't want to miss. We come at the back of two poor performances, and so we are not at our best preparation for the game. But today it's a win or die game. So yeah, we've got the advantage to play at home, so we definitely want to put our best.
Oh, it's our biggest game to date, isn't it? It's a massive game for us, and we've prepared accordingly. Our preparation's been faultless. There's left no stone unturned to get it right today. We've had a couple of practice runs which we didn't get right, so we've changed things up a bit, and we're pretty confident today we'll get it right.
All season you've had to deal with some big injuries. You've also got suspensions this time round, but your French players have really stepped up for you, haven't they?
Yes, and credit to them, Morgan Escarré, Kevin Laroyer, Michael Simon, the all French young players. They prove to everybody that they play at the Super League level now. In the past, they could play 1 or 2 games and be inconsistent. Now that they're ready to play at this level. So, yeah, credit to them. They worked so hard to be at this level.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
That's 2 Super League coaches out there. Let's talk to a 3rd Super League coach there. Brian Laurent there said it was do or die, and Peter Gentle isn't playing it down either.
Absolutely not. Both of these teams, I've just watched their warm-ups, are really up for this in an old-fashioned expression, and spoke to some of the whole staff, and they're prepared pretty well. They're quietly confident, but, you know, the weather will play its part for sure. But I think the team that looks after the ball the better are going to be in the best advantage.
Well, tell us about the weather then. I mean, Peter Gentle said it would play into Hull's hands. Do you go along with that?
I think the teams 2 days before, certainly the French team, will be used to playing in this kind of weather. The heat's actually gone down a little bit, guys. It's not as hot as it was yesterday. However, the humidity's gone up a little bit, as you might be looking at the size of my shirt. It's really wet around here, and I think that will take its toll. And the reason I mentioned looking after the ball is because if you give this French team, they know how to play with tempo over here. They'll come in fits and starts, but they'll hit you for 5 or 6 steps with a lot of tempo and a lot of shape and a lot of structure through Giroud and Price. And if you don't get your fair share of the ball over here, it becomes very, very difficult. But the same can happen to the French team. They can fall into what appears to be little periods of laziness, but they're actually recharging their engine and recharging their juice to get back into you. So Hull absolutely have to look after it.
Were you recharging your engines on the beach with Dave Woods this morning? Yes?
No, I was talking to the Coast Guard who thought they'd seen a beached whale on the beach, and I just had to point out that it was Woodsy. A big white whale. They thought they found the great white whale again, and it was Woodsy.
No comments, no comments. Don't say anything. You three don't say anything. What a job Laurent Fresneux has done with Catalan. First French coach that the Dragons have had.
Yeah, he's the youngest coach in Super League also, and he's a great advocate for what coaches have to do to get to the top. He's been involved with the last 3 coaches at the club, Kevin Walters, Mick Potter, and obviously Trent Robertson. And what he's been able to do is he's learned his trade. He played for them. He played in their first ever game against Wigan in their first season. So he's took his time. He's got some responsibility now, and he's doing a really good job.
And don't forget, if you tweet us about the game, we want to hear your thoughts on the game in just 4 words, in the 4-word forum. So hashtag BBCRL and just 4 words to describe the game. We'll read some out at half-time and we'll read some out at full-time as well. Take us through, Ian, the 2 players you've identified as key to this game, the head-to-head battle.
Yeah, it's the 2 hookers for both teams who wear the number 9. And if you have a look at Ian Henderson, Danny Houghton, defensively, both teams, both hookers concede weight and size in the position they play in the middle of the ruck. If you look at Houghton, he's made more tackles than anyone in Super League. You might look at Henderson and say, well, he hasn't made as many, but Houghton's made 140 more tackles than anyone in Super League. It's a very demanding spot. And then you go the other side in attack, the metres from dummy half. And you look at Henderson and Houghton. Houghton is very direct with his running. He's looking for opportunities from O'Mealy in that. And then you look at Henderson, who's got better tempo, and he also creates off a bigger size pack of forwards some metres. Look, both of these players have an instrumental part in the way they play, because the forwards in these games need to win the ruck, and they have to then expose teams where they're running from dummy half, but also to see it themselves. But I will say this, they say this at Catalans. They say if he plays well, they go close to winning. But they are starting to say at Hull at the moment, he brings energy to our game, Houghton. When he brings energy, we're on top of our game.
How do you stop him, John? Danny Houghton?
Quite simply, I think you control the ruck. You ensure that they do not get on the front foot. I think if we look at Catalans, you know, they've got such a big pack of forwards. Henderson loves running off the back of quick play the balls from them, but also he's got backup on the bench. He's got Pelissier who comes off the bench and spells him. Now Hull, don't have that luxury in Houghton. Their bench is stacked up with forwards. They've got Jeremiah in the halves who may well jump in and deputise there for a short period. But the challenge for Houghton is preserving his energy for the right moments in the game where he's needed. But I think he's been one of the standout players.
One of them will be man of the match if their team wins or go close to it, because that's how important and pivotal they are to the win.
Well, you're going to keep an eye on that head-to-head. We're in the Dragons dressing room, as you can see. Let's find out more about them, more about what life is like in France with one of their more experienced players. Here's Leon Prost.
Challenge Cup's the competition that I've grown up watching and have so much respect for. And, I remember the back in the days watching, Martin Fire, Ellery Hanley and all my heroes, lifting the Challenge Cup at Wembley. That's the first thing that I always wanted to do as a child growing up, was to play in the Challenge Cup final. So it takes a good 12 months to really settle in and enjoy, and probably just to live your life a little bit slower rather than everything at 100 mile an hour like we do at home, and just to relax a little bit, but enjoying life and enjoying rugby. At the highest level that you play at, the best teams are constantly talking to each other on the field, and the best teams never stop communicating. I can speak quite a bit on the field in rugby terms, i.e. the moves and things like that, but lifestyle-wise, it's pretty hard, yeah, but I get on with it. Vincent Dupont is probably, for me, the informed centre of the whole competition at the moment. He's playing out of his skin, and Morgan Ascari, for me, should be up there with Crooks for the Young Player of the Year. And for me, he set Super League on fire this year, as Morgan Ascari has been, probably our best player up to date. It's going to be really, really tough. I think it's going to be a completely different game to the game we played in Super League a couple of weeks ago. I think they'll be hurting from that defeat. They played very poorly that day. We didn't play great, but they didn't play up to the level that they'd been playing at for the previous 4 to 6 weeks. So I can see it being a really fiery match, and I can see Hull coming with a completely different attitude. But it's a game that I'm really looking forward to.
I think we're all looking forward to this game in Perpignan. We've been in the Catalan dressing room. Let's take a look at what the whole dressing room are doing with just moments to go. Well, they're already out of their dressing room and are ready to go. And none of you are giving them a chance here. Are you all going for the home side?
I think you've got to favour the home side. Everything stacks up on their side. But if they've got to start well, starting well over there, and as Brian said, keeping the ball, good kick in at the end of it, playing the field position. Because one thing about the Catalans, when they do turn the switch on, they do attack with tempo and pace.
Look, we're not underestimating Hull. They're a very quality team. They're very good. I just keep looking at Price and Duro. If they played in the halves of Hull, I went for Hull. That's how important the halves are in rugby league.
It's going to be a fascinating game in France. It could be an even more interesting commentary, given Brian Noble's recent comments. He's alongside the wonderfully svelte Dave Woods.
Well, I can tell you, having spent the morning in entirely professional circumstances, meeting one or two of the Catalan players at their team meeting, which coincidentally was next to a beach, they are up for this today, as are Hull FC. It is, of course, the most historic competition. How are they lining up today? Well, I can tell you there's no Thomas Bosch in the Catalan Dragons 17. Leon Price and Scott Giroux in the halves. Young fullback Morgan Ascari has been given his chance this year in the absence of the injured Brent Webb, and he has been an eye-catching performer as well at times, real zippy pace. The evergreen Steve Menzies reverting back to the second row. As far as Hull are concerned, well, Richard Horne and Daniel Holsworth both ruled out because of injury. Aaron Jeremiah and the young Australian Jacob Miller carry on in the halves. Ben Crooks, who has been having an outstanding season, returns from an ankle injury that saw him miss the Huddersfield game last week. The referee today, by the way, is Richard Silverwood. And a real experienced team here. Robert Hicks and Tim Roby, two Super League referees, are running the line. And Steve Ganson is in the video booth. We won't be hearing from him today, but we will be seeing his decisions should they be required. He's a man who is very key to this whole side, Ben Colaire. He'll put the work in on a hot and humid afternoon. It could be close come the final hooter. It's already close at kickoff. The humidity here is a real factor today. It is warm and it is very clammy, Brian Noble.
It is very clammy, and Remy Casty's It's just showing what the Catalans are about there with his first carrying a huge ricochet. Both these teams will be looking to stay disciplined as well, so they're not giving 3 metres away. And I can't emphasise enough with the kind of humidity that we've got, how important the kicking game is for both teams.
Well, Brian Noble was talking beforehand about how this Catalan team play in waves. It's very much like the support here as well. Very noisy just at the moment, and they do lift the noise when their side are getting on top. They maybe are guilty at times of going a little quiet at times, but they're also equally efficient at raising the atmosphere. There's Giroux's first kick of the game, which is half charged down, and a pick up here. Lynham brings it back, and Catalan are up there in defence.
Well, they did well there. There was kick pressure from the whole team. They're going to have to get to Giroux on his kick to disrupt it and maybe disorganise their kick chase. And that, in essence, got Hull another 30 metres on the outgoing set.
Here's Danny Houghton, looking to help it on for Ben Galea, who's made a heartbreak. Just pushing his nose through that Catalan line. Houghton again now. They've got some young halfbacks here, or one young halfback anyway, in Jacob Miller, only 20 years of age. It's only his 4th game for Hull today. Aaron Jeremiah, the other one. This is he now, Jeremiah, looking to bring them on, but he's sought out well.
That was a great tackle.
5th tackle. Here comes the last. Here comes the kick from Jacob Miller. High and hanging. Escare's underneath it. It was swirling all over the place, and Escare got fingertips to it, and will be happy, relieved to see that ball go away behind the netball line. A drop out underneath the sticks. Early blows for Hull.
That's round 1 to Hull, absolutely. They disrupt Giroux's kick so they don't have to come out of their own half with a bit of pressure. And then a booming kick. Watch this one go up and come down. Whooshka. Up it goes, and Escare doesn't get within 2 metres of this. It goes and it moves late from him, goes back, goes over his head, and he manages to get his hands to it, which knocks it out of the in-goal. Forced goal line dropout, just the start that Hull wanted.
So here comes Giroux with a drop. Just testing the reach of Jeremiah. This is going to test the mettle of that Catalan defence with a return. It's strong and it's good from the man they call the Ogre, Mark O'Mealy. Here's Houghton again, 30 yards out and 5 tackles to go. Hull are in very good position here. Houghton. Here's Jeremiah, offering it to a couple on the inside. Miller with a dummy in the footwork and trying to trick his way through. Casti, I think it was, who managed to grab a hold. Danny Houghton again. Sees a little disruption there behind the play the ball. The offload from O'Mealy might fall nicely from Miller. Here comes Houghton with a kick to the corner where they have the numbers. And Catalan at the moment are really under the pump. Cleared this time by Frederic Vaccarin. Well, they've gone here for the video referee to have a look. Was this caught in full, in goal? If so, it's a tap on the 20.
Well, the question is where he started from to catch the ball. So he's saying he's coming from the field of play, I think, Richard Silverwood, when he caught the ball.
Well, just to remind you, we don't hear from Steve Ganson. We've got to wait for the decision given visually. Did he just have a foot
yes, he did.
In that in-goal area? This will be a massive relief for Catalan.
I think this will be a 20-metre restart.
It is, 20-metre restart. What an escape for the French side.
What a good decision from the video referee, and how important is that for the Catalan in relation to pressure. That could have well have been another repeat set for Hull, hadn't we had the auspices of the video referee.
Here's Zeptire, the Kiwi. Chance for some relief and a chance to bring it back inside their opponent's half here if they can. 2 games from Wembley. They are 2 sides with their own particular Wembley history as well. Catalan Dragons only reached the final once in 2007 when the new stadium was finally unveiled, beaten that day by St Helens. And Hull, 3 times winners, never famously at Wembley. 1914, over a decade before the final moved south. 1982 in a replay at Leeds, and then in 2005 when it was staged at Cardiff. This a test for the opposing fullback. The arms were up there, and I think Shannon MacDonald has put this down. He has. It's play on because Catalan have possession. It's an advantage play here. Giroux with a kick. Blanche takes it in. He's carried out of play. It won't matter. Well, we're going for the video referee again here. It looks as though it's been carried out of play. Even if it has, it doesn't matter. They will start the set back underneath the sticks.
Full advantage whether Blanche gets the ball down.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my word. That's a fabulous finish if he's got that down.
What about that? Damien Blanche seemingly pulling off what seemed the impossible. We'll have another look here. To remind you, it's a knock-on, so it's an advantage play. They can take the risk knowing that they would simply go back and play it again if this doesn't come off, but you know what I think it might have done.
It's a score for me. Play on.
Evidence there of Scott Duro's speed of thought, and evidence there of Damien Blanche's efficiency of finishing. Steve Ganson will take another look. That's a try, is it not?
That's one heck of a try. That's a brilliant finish from Damien Blanche. And a great free play. Just an example of this new rule, just for our viewers, is that if the opposition or if the team you're playing against has a knock-on, it's play on for one player, and you don't lose the advantage, you go back to the scrum. Now he's looking at offside on the kick, onside on the kick, I think.
Well, they all seemed to be onside, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Escarre was encroaching, and whether he was within 10 yards, that might be a question to be asked.
Smart play from Joe Rowe to see Blanche out on his own with the kick.
We'll have a look at this here now. When the kick goes up in the air.
Well, the only people offside, Dave, are the ones around the ruck, the ones that join. And does he get within 10 metres?
I think that's Escarre, isn't it? Yes, it is. Morgan Escarre there, who is within 10 metres. Now this, again, we talk about the fabulous rule of the advantage. This is this awful rule of a player who's not involved in terms of the whole man losing the ball there, who is not involved in the play until he picked it up. And they might just get the try ruled off here because he was technically in an offside position. Let's see where Steve Ganson goes here. If he doesn't give this, he might not be eating locally tonight. Henderson and Escarre both standing in front of the kicker. You can see that Henderson holds his run. He doesn't become involved, but Escarre is following this kick here. When it goes down down here, he is within 10 metres. So technically he's offside at that position.
He does pick the ball up as well, doesn't he?
Does,
so he's in play. So
listen to the balls here. Try refused. No try. Damien Blanche is asking the question why, and you have to say it goes back to a rule which we've seen a handful of times over the last few years, which really does need looking at, doesn't it?
Well, I agree it needs looking at, but I think he's involved in the play, in the try-scoring play. He's within the 10 metres, so he's an active player.
But he
picked the ball up and
he's played on. When the whole player hits the ball, when the whole player touches the ball, he's played onside. He's offside before the whole player catches the ball.
But he's within the 10 metres where he drops the ball.
Well, you can hear what the Catalan supporters think of that. They are not too happy, if that's not the understatement of the weekend. So, Hull survive, 0-0 it remains. 5 minutes of the first half played. Damien Blanche's acrobatics come to naught. Here's Houghton. Miller. Little dummy by him, but well read, easily enough.
He's testing the line a lot, isn't he, young Miller? Jacob Miller, he's becoming a threat, and then what happens then? He opens up the pass play on the outside.
Here's Gallagher. This is Jeremiah. Miller again. Well, they've reached the fifth, so 30 metres out, we expect the kick here. Here it comes from Miller. Escarre again is the target to be tested, but he's done well this time.
He's done really well.
Went backwards from the catch, and he has the pace to test him on the outside as well.
He's an exciting young player, isn't he? I think we've got two of the good young guns of the Super League. And Ben Crooks on one side of the field for Hull, and young Escarre for the Catalans has been impressive all year.
Here's Henderson. Big drive forward by Simon. One of the young French players who really hit their straps this season. He's inside the 40 here, Scott Durow with this kick. Oh, and he's hit the whitewash. So it'll be ball back For me, Hull's head and feed back there.
Well,
but a foot shorter, and that would have been a magnificent kick.
Seen the closeness of what the French team do. Had that been a 40-20, it's advantage the Catalans, absolutely. But what we saw is try disallowed, and now not the 40. Hull need to take advantage of this free field position that they're getting. They need to come up with a score in this set of 6 for me, or at least stay at this part of the field.
Well, plenty of talking points for our boys back in the studio at half-time already here. And we barely played 7 minutes. Houghton out from behind the scrum. Here comes Crooks on that far side, who's in danger of being dragged out of play. Too much hanging on. And we talk about the players here today, about the atmosphere and what's at stake, but that man there, Richard Silverwood, I tell you, there's a bit of pressure on him as well, isn't there, given the passion of the locals.
And this is trapdoor football, let's not forget. You're out. You get this wrong today, and the referee's decision may just... Yeah, they've got to cope with the pressure. They've got to not listen to the crowds.
Here's Houghton. Miller. Obstruction. A little bit of crossing. So the penalty goes Catalan's way.
Well, they've let the Catalan off the hook there with a little bit of a mistimed lead there, and the ball player's in front of Miller, so he can't pass it to him. And he runs into the Catalan line, and unfortunately it takes the heat, literally the heat, away from the Catalan team, Dave.
I think both sides will be fairly happy with this little breather, won't they? Because, again, to underline the fact it is really, really humid here today. And the longer it goes on, the more tiring it becomes. This is Simon. Henderson up, driven in by Remy Casting. He'll be playing in the NRL next year, having signed for the Sydney Roosters. Menzies. Here's Price. Taya chopped down, but Catalan still with a chance to roll here. Down that left flank, looking for the offload, Millard. Henderson again. Price. Or the reach. It wasn't the best of balls.
Well, we've had a couple of errors from both teams now to take the pressure off in the pressure cooker. Leon Price won't be overly impressed with the pass there. Dies on Muniz, doesn't he? Throws it just out in front of him.
Well, again, there's no rush at this scrum. Both sides almost with a silent settlement between them, really. When we do get a chance for a breather, let's take it. Miller with a feed. Here's Houghton. Behind the back of Ellis and O'Mealy. Instead, rather muscular challenge for that Catalan defence, but dealt with well enough on that occasion. Hakeem just trying to lift a bit of the workload off his big forwards. Houghton again with a kick out from dummy half. Oh, it's a bit of a juggle again by Thackeray, but he has managed to come up safely in the end.
Great tackle on the kick chase from Jeremiah. The game at the moment has been played in between the two 20-metre lines of the field, aren't they? So no team's quite established that field position where they've got really good attacking players on there because of the way they're not controlling the ball well enough. You know, and we get, you know, Hull on play 3 there, deciding that the kicking game's that important that they're going to give the ball away early.
It's been lost. And not reefed, simply lost. Here's Briscoe.
Danger. And
Jeremiah.
He's going up toward the middle of the field. Leon Price did really well there.
Is it fair to say that Tom Briscoe's form has dipped a little this season? There's been all kinds of talk about him leaving Hull at the end of the year. Is he perhaps not quite as potent as he has been in recent years?
I wouldn't say that. If you give him the chance, he'll take it. I think what teams do is they work out players after a few years, and that's a good offload from O'Mealy.
O'Mealy's done well here. Here's Chris Green, the young prop forward. The young gun to the old, from the old one to the young gun.
Teams get used to what you're doing, so you have to reinvent yourself a little bit, and that can take a year to adjust as well.
This is Jeremiah now. A little grubber as well, because the space was offering itself. Crooks with the ball back in. Escarre straight into his rib cage, and he's done well to hold on under the pressure.
It's a smart little play on the short side from Hull, and it opened up the French defence, and they got lucky on the kick.
Well, the claims from the Catalan fans is that Hull are offside here, but they're just getting up very, very quickly, putting a lot of pressure on. Again, a ball to ground, again picked up safely. Here's Millard. This is Henderson. Thackeray's coming on the inside. Well, there's only 4 tackles gone here. They've barely scraped out from their own 20 metres, so they need a big kick, but they won't get there because that was a juggle and a fumble by Mikel Simon. So another handling mistake here has offered Hull a real advantage.
Yeah, they're giving them every opportunity, I think, the Catalans. A couple of drops in this set, a couple of drops before.
Catalans doing well in possession so far. They're winning 2/3 more than Hull, but possession is in Hull's favour at the moment.
Yeah, and that's an indication that they're not getting to the end of the sets. They've only got 3 and 4 players, and each amount of possession that they get, and that will take its toll in these conditions. Irrespective of you playing at home and you know how to play it, Hull will break the line and get a score if they keep doing that.
Here comes Houghton. Driven in by Westerman. 4 to go, 10 metres to cover here. Houghton again to this left-hand side. Jeremiah, plenty of space. Galea is caught in possession, and he tried to offload and has given it away. And a chance now for them to make hay through Henderson.
I think Galea's busted, Dave. I think he's got an injury.
Menzies, 39 years of age, Steve Menzies. 1 or 2 of us were beginning to think he might go on forever, but he is retiring at the end of the year. Here's Giroud, who will kick from behind a 40-metre mark. So Briscoe, well, doesn't have to be too careful because the ball will not really tempt that touchline. He's got a decent run back here, Briscoe. Yeaman's up there quickly too. Catalan's defence has reorganised itself. Here's Briscoe. Whiting. Good footwork from Whiting. Recently on the pitch, in place of Ben Galea, it's another fumble ball. It's a very scrappy game just at the moment. Referee was just thinking about the advantage, but then saw none forthcoming, so it will be Catalan's head and feet at the scrum.
Do you want my 14-minute theory?
What's your 14-minute theory?
This ball is greasy because of the humidity. And the team that learns to manage that, simplify things. Because you're seeing there, Hull there with the weight, not weight of possession, because Catalan have had more ball. Hull have made more use of their possession and more play the balls, I think, is what our stats are telling us, and that will take its toll eventually. We saw there a couple of half breaks. It's very sweaty out there, Dave.
It's very sweaty up here as well, isn't it? Less comfortable as the afternoon goes on. 0-0 it remains, 14.5 minutes played. And here's Henderson at dummy half for the Catalan Dragons. Out to Zeb Taya, who's lost the ball again. Play on, 0 tackle. Here comes Danny Houghton. Houghton will try the advantage play again. It's not going to come off. Giroud knows full well that he's not going to go the distance. The referee's going to call it back and say take it back to the original play. Head and feet for Hull at the scrum. I think your 14-minute theory might be right.
Well, let's have a look at this one. Zeb Taya is saying he had the ball punched out. That's a loose carry. Even if he's punched at the ball, he deserves to look after it better than that.
They both have a smattering of Challenge Cup final appearance, don't they? In the Hull lineup, Kirk Yeaman and Richard Whiting, who's now on the field, both part of the 2005 Cup-winning side against Leeds at Cardiff, and Catalan, 3 of their players surviving from their 2007 Cup final appearance: Remy Casti, Gregory Muniz and Vincent Duport. And of course that day, Leon Price, Catalan today, but a St Helens player that day. In fact, he shared the Lance Todd Trophy with Paul Wellens, but has since switched allegiances. This is Danny Houghton for Hull. Both sides still looking for that first strike. Here comes Whiting again. Menzies at the heart of the defensive work. Really is a clever footballer. This is Ellis. Well, there's still a couple of tackles left here. Houghton again. Here's Jeremiah. ...15 yards away. Houghton. Miller's kick. Nobody was quite sure in that Catalan lineup who was going to take it. Zebtaya eventually given the responsibility and cannot get out of the field of play. It's going to be a dropout underneath the sticks.
Nice kick from Miller. Nice chase on the inside. I think it was Houghton, McDonald. Little set play from Hull to finish a set. The juice tanks will go down if the Catalans keep spilling this amount of ball. Nice touch on his kick and cleans the ball up, Zebtaya, and just can't get out. Good kick chase. Whiting's involved there, and quite a few Hull defenders. They've looked after the ball better, haven't they, Hull? You have to say.
Jacob Miller is a rare reversal of trends in this modern age, isn't it? The fact that he's only 20 years of age, an Australian who's come this way, come to the Super League. Only his 4th game here. What have you made of him? He was making a bit of an impression early season at Wests, wasn't he? And then kind of lost his place. What have you made of him since his arrival at Hull?
Well, he's on the 3 or 4 games, and his coach is saying he's settling in really, really well and becoming more and more familiar with the players around him, which is important for a half-back. But he's looked dangerous at the start of this game, Dave.
Here's Westerman. He's lost it. Again, it goes to ground. Ascari with a little grubber kick, the dribble.
That's play on, surely.
Well, there were 2 knock-ons. I think Ascari knocked on. I think there was a knock-on by the Catalan side, at least.
Okay.
Richard Silver just confirming that. So Westerman knocks it forward, and there's a juggle as well. And he's deemed that as a knock-on.
It's just a drop-a-thon at the moment, isn't it? 3-tackle football.
Well, you were saying whoever keeps hold of the ball best, but neither side are keeping hold of the ball well at the moment, are they? It is relative in terms of who is holding it best. Here's Henderson.
I'll tell you, it wasn't a whole player on side then. I'm actually agreeing with the roar of the crowd.
Simon. Mikael Simon. Henderson again, whose brother Andrew was involved in Sheffield's dig against the London Broncos last night, which didn't go their way. Casti wrestling his way forward again. Henderson once more. Here comes Leon Price with that trademark step and offload to Henderson. They're gaining advantage here now. They're gaining a bit of ground, a bit of momentum, and room in which to work. Muniz closed down.
Well,
Henderson. Here's Giroud, who's going to kick on the last. Does he? No, he's not. He's going to try this to tire, but he runs it deep into the arms of those welcome defenders, and the handover 15 metres from the Hull line this time.
I think he was trying to find out what it's like to have a play in the opposition 20. I think that's their first 2 plays, other than the advantage play we saw with the try that was chalked off. This is the end of the field that the French really love to be at. They've got to front load a little bit of their energy now and try and work really hard defensive and keep Hull here.
Well, I think Tanya Arnold down on the touchline might have some news for us as well. Tanya, what news?
He took a knock to his left shoulder, and he's looking very dejected, and they're taking the strapping off him at the moment. Doctor not ruling him out, but I have to say I'd be quite surprised if he does come back on.
Thank you, Tanya. Here comes Danny Houghton out from that acting half position.
It's a great asset if you've got a hooker that plays in the dummy half position, as we saw there, as Danny Houghton plays in that position, that can kick the ball from there, because he can take the defensive team by surprise and take the pressure off your front line kickers, and that's a great kick from Houghton.
Here's Vakary. Freddie Vakary. He's got 5 tries in his last 6 appearances for Catalan, so he's a man who's in a bit of form just at the moment. Unlike this Hull side generally, who have lost their last 4, it's a run that started with defeat here in early June. Here's Blanche. Hull came here early June and lost by 30 points to 4. They've been on a decent run of form before that, but since have not been able to buy a win. Lost their last 3 in very close circumstances. Here comes Menzies. That's the 5th. So Casti is the unlikely dummy half. Giroud will look for touch. And to the chagrin of both sets of forwards, he doesn't find it, so the game carries on.
It's a laboured kick chase, isn't it?
It's not surprising, given the conditions. Briscoe, hands on hips. He'll have a dig from dummy half. Eamon's gone across there. This is he. Oh, and they get a penalty. Penalty again. Well, a few seats to our left were slammed at that decision.
I'll tell you what, it makes a huge difference, a penalty on play 3.
It's the reason why. It's a bit too much hanging on. So Danny Houghton looking to his left and finding young Liam Watts, who's done well to get that offload away and keep this lively for Hull. Here's Jeremiah.
Danger. He's got a really good step at the line and explosion in his carries.
Houghton. If one of the big men to drive it here is another one who's relatively fresh from the bench, Andy Lynch. Houghton again, Watts to his left-hand side, but it's gone back to Miller. Here comes Ellis. Ellis urging himself forward and finds himself put down only 10 yards away with tackles still in the bag here. Miller once more. Jeremiah, the half's in harness. The pass wasn't great, but it is still collected by McDonald, who's going to ride the high tackle and force his way over. And he's dragged back, is he, or has he managed to touch this down? Well, there seems to be some confidence in the celebration here from Shannon McDonald that he has got a try, but it's going to go over to Steve Ganson. Video referee, you heard that. If it's not a try, it will be a penalty anyway.
For the high shot.
For the high tackle. Looking at the grounding here. I think there might be a hand underneath that, isn't there? Gregory Muniz. What do you reckon?
I reckon he'll give a try. I can see, I don't think his hand's near enough that ball. I think it's down there, and I don't think there's a hand underneath it. However, I could be wrong. So that's why Steve Ganson's got the decision. Benefit of the doubt, he's touched the ground there.
That's a try, isn't it, from that angle?
Yes.
Well, the Catalan supporters will be looking at the big screen here, and they won't be pleased with this, but Hull fans highly delighted because this, I'm sure, is going to be a try. It is confirmed, and there's a little smudge of black and white to the far left-hand side, who reached to the air in celebration. Their side have finally made a breakthrough that they arguably deserve here.
Well, they've been tempting Providence for a long time now. They closed the play down, should have closed McDonald, give him a run on the inside because they haven't tied in, and the 3 defenders just can't stop him. He's vigorous, he got there, he's already got the penalty, he got the shot round the head from Leon Price, but does well to get the ball down as McDonald. And that's just weight of possession. That's just weight of opportunity that they've given Hull, Dave.
Joe Westerman is the picture of concentration as he looks to add the 2, which he does without any great difficulty. So Hull have that lead, 6 points to 0. It's taken a while.
Well, the play should have been closed down here. The inside defenders don't tie up, don't move. Taylor was responsible for one there, and that gives McDonald the opportunity. They get bodies in there, but he's too close to the line. He's over the line. He only has to get over the line. Doesn't say how far he has to go. He can put the ball down now, and unfortunately, Escarre can't make the defensive play.
And reminder that there's a second game tomorrow, the second quarter-final that we're showing this weekend. That's a knock-on, by the way, but Warrington against Huddersfield tomorrow, 4 o'clock it all starts.
That's a big result for the French.
After that, we'll have the semi-final draw. What about that?
That's a big result for the French. They get over the line here. They've got themselves out of jail. They haven't played well. They've been playing 3-tackle football, and Hull have just offered them, here's a piece of cake. Here you go, have a piece of cake in our line. Let's see how you go.
Well, again, a chance for a breather here.
Stay close. Don't break until I say out, yeah? Okay, mate.
Here we go, Juro to feed. Catalan having conceded with an early chance to try and get themselves back. Level again, Menzies. Henderson. So Lapini Pierre, who will have a go here. Henderson currently occupying that dummy half position. They've got a bright spark in Eloi Pelissier to interchange with him at some point during this game. And you suspect his influence, Pelissier's, might be a big one in this match. Left it goes to Millard. Thackeray, oh, they get a penalty, so they get another set of 6 here to have a go at this whole line.
They fancy that left side, though, with Millard and Taya. Big, strong boys hitting the line. Ooh,
Jamal Fakir never misses. Never been known to miss with those drives forward. Henderson again. Giroud stretches back on the inside to Payer, who might have shrugged one off, but 2 or 3 more willing defenders were there to hold him down. Henderson to Price. Price back to Vincent Dupont. Kirk Eamon does well to hang on again, but there are 3 more tackles for Hull to hold out. Here's the bright spark. Running across that line, Escarre, but going nowhere forward.
They've lost 20 metres there.
Giroud, Muniz. Well, this whole defence looks pretty comfortable just for the moment, doesn't it? But here comes the final tackle. Henderson again. Giroud, kick to the corner. Menzies underneath it. Blanche is there as well. Menzies knocks it backwards. Dupont keeps hold of it. Dupont still on the 6. Manages to offload. Menzies puts it back. Fakir knocks it on. Hull will break away here. And it will be a knock-on, and it will be the handover in Hull's favour.
Menzies leaps. Gets his hands to it. This is play on when Menzies gets there, knocks it back. If Dupont recollects, if he can get his hands free, he's trying to find Blanche, can't quite. Plenty of black and white shirts in the frame, which is the encouraging side for the whole defence. They defended their line well there, didn't they, for 2 sets?
There's a lot of things that Steve Menzies does that simply shouldn't be possible for a 39-year-old rugby league player.
Yeah.
His turn of pace at times is electrifying as well, isn't it?
Do you know what's so exciting about him? He just still loves the game. And if you love playing something and you love to be involved, I think it knocks the numbers off your birth certificate, for sure.
They're not missing many so far, 97 and 94% tackle completion. So both sides working hard. Here's Houghton again. Whiting. Houghton. Real engine in the middle, he's lost it.
Well, I can only think it's the greasiness of the balls, and it is humid.
Well, if anyone's going to feel the heat today, it is going to be Danny Houghton. He's just about the hardest worker on both sides, isn't he? On average, there was some of the big hits, some of the big smashes we've seen so far today. Some of the might-have-beens, some of the could-have-beens, but it remains 6-0 in Hull's favour. They're missing a man in the pack at the moment, Catalan. That's why the referee's just hanging on before we see this ball fed.
When is Leon Price going to play his part? He has this ability to explode into a game and cause problems for the opposition. I think he's just waiting for his opportunity.
Well, Ben Crooks was offside there, wasn't he? Trying to read that play.
Yeah.
Giroud's kick. It's a tap restart for Millard with Catalan only 20 metres away. Here comes Jamal Fakir with that initial drive forward. Giroud. Well, this is the man we were talking about a short while ago, isn't it? Eloi Pelissier. Look at his sharpness from dummy half, especially against the tiring Hull pack. Escarre. Pelissier. Leroy. Pelissier again, here's Giroud. Plenty of options here. We went for the short, flat ball to Lapini Payer, who had a hot defender in his face and also gets a penalty again.
I thought he knocked on there, Payer. I thought he held the whole defender, and I think that's what Jeremiah was complaining about.
We'll take it quickly. Here's Payer again. 5 more tackles, and look how close that whole goal line is at the moment. Pelissier waiting, short again, and it's just a heavy artillery smashing against the walls of this whole defence. Taya held at bay. Giroud Now they go more subtle. Here comes Leon Price.
Well, I think that was his play and they're ready for it, Hull. I think that's straight from the script. They've done well and handled him well there.
Pelissier again. Leroy. Hull have hung on for 4. Jamal Fakir. Just a heavy steam rolling effort from him. But they're not going to bully their way over this this whole line. So here comes Alas Pelissier. There's a little bit of a gap there. Is he in? Eloi Pelissier buries himself underneath those whole defenders. Richard Silverwood takes a long, hard look and decides he cannot make head and the tail of this situation.
I'm
so
not
it's
sure.
back again
I'm not
to
sure,
Steve
Dave.
Ganson.
Oh, might be now.
He's hit the line. That's all he has to do, isn't it? What do you reckon?
I think it's a try. Looks like this angle. This is a better angle. I think there the ball touched the ground. That's a try.
Well, Steve Ganson has decided that the try is a good one. Eloi Pelissier making his presence felt not long after his unveiling on the field. And the Catalans, well, in a few moments' time, could be level again, but are certainly very much in this contest.
It was a clumsy try, wasn't it? The 5 players, I'm not saying it wasn't a try, but it was like 5 really short barges at the line, and they haven't created anything. The whole defence has looked really structured, and he's just backed himself. He's beaten 3 people on the line here. A little bit disappointed that he gets over there, you know. Out maybe 2 more steps, and Yemen stay with him, but you know what's coming. Yemen stood offside anyway, but he does well to get his nose down into the dirt and his backside up in the air and keep his legs pumping, and boom, back in the game.
So Scott Giroux with a chance to add the 2 that would make it all square again. Was a little bit of a fade, but not too much. Certainly not enough to steer it wide. So it is 6-6, and some rather grumpy Catalonians are a little happier now.
I think Hull looked the better team in attack. Is that fair? Will they get away with this in this stand? Is all I'm saying. I think they look a little bit more organised, a little bit more threatening with Miller and Jeremiah and Houghton.
Are you in any way surprised that Thomas Bosk is not involved in this this Catalan side today? He was 18th man, named as 18th man.
Well, it's a brilliant kicking game, but doesn't Giroux, and we're not putting the emphasis on there, you know, the Catalan staff will know better than how has he been playing. We don't see them every week. He hasn't been playing well enough, and you just don't carry a bloke. You don't earn their place.
This is Jamal Fakir, backwards, picked up by Pelissier, that little flick of the knees before he takes on that whole line. They're trying to get momentum going here now, aren't they?
Danger.
Price, quickly, Menzies through his legs. Yemen kicks on. Yemen will fall on it. Hull get possession back again. There were no knock-ons there, so it is the... oh, there was. This will be the 0. Oh, that was a 0 tackle. Here comes the first.
There was an advantage on if they could find it.
Whiting finding the ground 20 metres away. Houghton out. Miller to that right-hand side. Jeremiah helps it on. What's it given here?
Well, given. The penalty to Catalan for what?
Well, he's given it against Danny Tickle.
For what?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but Danny Tickle was certainly the voice he was shouting at.
Send us a sign, Mr. Silverwood. I think as he led like one of the runners, decoy runners for our people that are watching at home that are relatively new to the game, as a decoy runner run into a defender is probably the penalty that's been given there.
There we are. He's given obstruction. He's given obstruction.
Whacked him with the elbow as well.
Seb Tyre making good ground. Pelissier up from dummy half, taken on by Lapini Pair. Head down on a barge by him. But they're in decent position here, Catalan, having got themselves back level. Looking to strike again. Morgan Escarre, who's not really been given too much running room today, has he? So far. Price. Here's Pear, the former Sydney Rooster. Pelissier, Giro. That was a fifth. So 10 metres out, a real opportunity for Catalan to try and conjure something here. It's Price's kick, which will test them. It's Blanche who goes up, but it's taken very well by Briscoe. But Blanche was blocked away unfairly by Yeaman.
Yeah, I think it's the right call. He hasn't gone for the ball and he's pulled him back. He's not allowed to do that. Once he put his arms up, pulled him down. He can compete for the ball. Blanche is allowed to.
Here's Pelissier again, looking for the cheekiest route to that try line. Here's Leroy. This is Giro. This is Jamal Fakir. Hard-hitting run again. There'll be some bruises after this game is finished. Here comes Giro again. Now Menzies. Menzies looking to step. Menzies still going here. Menzies looking to offload in the end, but Hull's arms wrapping around him to make sure that option is restricted.
For sure, it's 39.
Under half. Here's Pelissier. Eventually, it's a slow play the ball. This is Price. Back on the inside for Lapini-Pear. Shirt almost ripped from his back before eventually he's put down. But a real heavy spell here for Hull to weather. Pelissier again. Giro, Leroy. Whiting was the man who sought him out. Westerman helping out, or rather Tickle helping out in defence as well. Pelissier. Price with a kick. Ricochets off several. Dropped on by Danny Tickle, and Hull have possession back again.
Some Hull players blowing there. Look at that. Hands on knees, hands on hips. The heat taking its toll, the humidity taking its toll. Who's going to do the toughs work? Who's going to get them out of there? Danny Tickle, is it? No. Lynham puts his hand up. Big boy from the wing. Everybody, all hands to the pump. It needs to be here.
Here's Andy Lynch. Briscoe, the winger, up there to help those forwards again. More yards earned in difficult circumstances, and on the 6 they will kick it. Jacob Miller putting a very good kick through, but Escarre covering that ground very quickly. That's the benefit, isn't it, of having a swift full-back. He gets there in time to catch on the full.
Yeah, he's quick. He can make the ground quickly, so your kicking game has to be pinpoint when he's in the backfield. Because of that speed, covers the ground really quickly, can catch the ball on the full. It means that Catalan's bigger fellas don't have to come back quite as far when they get the meters from the kick return.
Here's Vincent Duport. 99th appearance today. Vincent Duport for the Catalan. Run away from the big one. Here's Damien Blanche. The Irish international. No doubt he'll be in World Cup form at the end of this season. It's Leon Price. And they've eked their way to within 25 metres of this whole line. And here comes the last. Giroud's going for a drop goal. And Giroud, I think, has got the drop goal. He has. It's 1 point that may prove golden when the 80th minute is up, because it edges Catalan into the slenderest of leads. 7 points to 6 going into the half-time break.
Okay, that's a great play. I like the 1 point because it's been a really tight game. The difference between these two teams for me is the quality of the dummy half running. When it's improved from the Catalan, they've managed to march the whole team. We're losing a little bit of juice because the French are looking after the ball a little bit better. But when Briscoe have gone in there, when Lynham have gone in there, when Yeaman have gone in there, when Danny Houghton's run on the back of a great play from Whiting, then Hull have managed to gain the advantage, because what they do is give their big blokes rest. They don't have to work as far, in essence, and it's weather. It makes a huge difference.
So Westerman with the restart. There's not too long left to play here now, is there, in this first half? So Catalan looking to run it out if they can. 3.5, just under, of the first half remaining. I tell you what, these are two sets of players who will be desperate, absolutely desperate, to get into the dressing rooms at half-time, won't they? We cannot overestimate how big a role the conditions are playing here today. Back here.
Well, there you go, there's another one.
Advantage play again. Brooks was looking to craft a kick, but it's ricocheted off Tear, so it will be the head and feet here for Hull.
It's cheeky to say it, but the most dangerous play from both teams has been the advantage play from the knock-on, hasn't it? We've seen the disallowed try, we've seen a nearly try, and then we've seen opportunities created because they're lifting their heads and trying to create an opportunity from a kick.
12 home games this season for Catalan. They've won 9 of them. They are pretty good at home. And he's having a good season. Laurent Fresinier, new as head coach, their first French head coach for the Catalans. What a debut season it would be for him if he were to take his side to Wembley. But 2 very big hurdles to overcome first. This whole side here today, and then a potential semi-final. Danny Houghton indicating he wanted to go for goal. The referee just telling him it's a differential penalty, Danny. You can't kick for goal. Well, I wanted to kick for touch anyway, he'll have said.
They might if they profit with 6 points here, he'll think, yeah, the rules help me there.
Houghton looking down that right-hand side, the short run. It's as close as you can get.
Wow.
Houghton again. Spinning it away to Miller. Miller looking to step Leon Price. And then Fakir threatens to take his head off.
That's a penalty. Now they'll take the 2.
And all fingers pointing to the posts. Side of Jamal Fakir's game we're not entirely unused to, is it?
Doesn't cope with agility too well, does he, Jamal? He doesn't let too many past him. He can't. That's the play before. That was from Westerman, and he got himself over the line.
So this could very well be the last kick of the first half here, because Danny Tickle, who's taken over the kicking duties now that he's come on from the interchange bench, will take his time with this. And if he does put it over, which he in all likelihood will do, then Hull will have that 1-point advantage going into the break. It's just the faint strains of Old Faithful, the Hull club anthem, in the background as Danny Tickle prepares to put his side into the lead. As the hooter looms, they will make their way back to the halfway line. I'm not sure they'll get there in time to take the kick-off before that hooter sounds. So 8 points to 7. Hull now lead, but the balance of the game still remains.
Well, safe for the taking for both teams, isn't it? An error strewn, you'd have to say, first half, probably because of the conditions, but I think Hull have looked the more threatening in attack. We haven't seen either team too much on. Hull have defended well their own goal line. They'll all be about juice and about energy management and whether the Catalans can pick up their game.
Tanya Arnold is speaking with now is Scott Duro.
Scott, it's a nip and tuck game out there, isn't it? Is it about protecting the ball a little bit more for both sides?
Yeah, big time. It's very slippery, very humid. The ball's just popping out in any tackle, so I think the team that holds the ball the most is going to win this game.
They've thrown a hell of a lot at you, haven't they, in that first half?
Yeah, we've forced it on ourselves. There's too many errors and penalties, and, you know, they've been good, and our defence held out in the main part at the moment, so we've just got to keep working on that in the second half.
How tough are those conditions?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's hot, it's warm, it's humid, but, you know, we live in it, so we like it.
Thanks for your time, Scott.
Thanks.
The sweat is dripping off Scott Duro. It is hot, it is humid, it is brutal, and we have seen plenty of mistakes as well. But it is Hull who have the lead by that 1 point at half-time. And when you look at some of those stats, Jonathan Davis, is it the errors, 9 for Catalans, 5 for Hull, that jump out at you?
Yeah, I think it is. It's just, it's very, very scrappy. I felt that first 20 minutes, Hull, you know, kind of dominated the game, but again, when they got in a good position, the mistakes came and they couldn't capitalise on it. And later half of the first half, you know, Catalan came back into it, but very, very even. There's no really dominant side yet, so you know, as momentum has switched and it's taken your opportunities when momentum's with you. And at the moment, neither side has really done that. And you know, as they've said, it's hot, it's scrappy, and there's a lot of ball going to ground.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with the modern technology, the ball, is when it's humid like that and when there's so much moisture around, the sweat from the players, there's been rain in Perpignan over the last sort of 24 hours, it makes it really hard to handle. So what we're looking at really is a combination of some poor handling. Let's not beat around the bush. There is some poor handling, but a lot of it comes from the ball, how greasy it is, and popping out of the tackle. And in that first half, really, it was defined by the errors. Catalans looked as though they could get out of their half with ease when they got going, but it was punctuated by errors which essentially gave Hull field position, and we saw really Hull, you know, they scored 8 points. You would have hoped with that amount of field position during that first half you'd come away with more points.
You know what was really interesting? They look powerful and they look dominant at times. Catalan's got a roll. They've made 100 more metres than Hull, but the errors, you know, it's just absolutely curtailed the momentum they had.
I think one of the other thing is, you know, when you watch it, when they get into a good attacking position, it's the execution of the passes. Like, you know, if the pass is slightly behind you or the pass dies on you, you know, it just takes the pace out of the movement, and I think that's been crucial, you know, in the final play as well.
Hashtag BBCRL if you're going to tweet us with your 4 words to describe that first half so far. Both sides have scored a try apiece. Take us through the whole one first of all, John.
Yeah, again, we just touched on it here. We talk about execution, and, you know, Miller goes to the line, plays out the back. It's a poor ball from Jeremiah here, but McDonnell, what he does here is really takes advantage of some sloppy defending from Catalan. And you think Catalans have done enough, and he shows great strength to get the ball down, but I think from Hull's point of view, pretty poor execution. But McDonnell came off his right foot, squared up. The Catalan defence was pretty average.
The movement of defence kept going sideways instead of pushing forward, and that's they got beaten back on the inside there. Both halves for Hull, when it does go wide, it's interesting to say about that, Jiffy, about the passing. It's not great, and they don't create a great threat, do they, on the edge? No,
I think Catalan look a little bit more dangerous with ball in hand, and but then again, Hull in front.
Leon's a lot more direct, isn't he? Leon's a lot more direct.
Tell you what, there's some ice flying around that whole dressing room at the moment, isn't there? Most of the players have got ice packs on their heads, on their shoulders, on the back of their necks. That just emphasises how hot it is out there.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure you know, Peter Gentle said the weather will suit the Hull side. I just don't get that side, that comment yet.
Yeah, not quite as much ice by the looks of it in the Catalans' dressing room.
And that's what disappoints Catalans, is the amount of errors, because they know how, because they live there and they see that as an advantage, and then to turn the advantage on top of themselves, that's where they'd be talking a lot more about at half-time.
Let's have a look at their try, shall we? Scored by Pelissier. Again, it one that went to the video referee. Had a slightly influential first half, but there was no doubts about this in the end.
Well, I tell you what, they would have been worried. It was 5th tackle, and he takes the odds here to dive over himself. And it's poor defence by young Miller at marker. He froze himself there as if to knock the ball down. What he needed to do was wrap the ball up, stop the threat, which was where the ball was. And straight away, I think Giro would have been saying, son, don't go from dummy half, because give me the ball. I'd like a repeat set in this humid conditions. Pelissier takes the odds and he gets the try. I
think Pelissier and Paya particularly speeded the game up for Catalans. Got them moving forward. They got more metres in the first half, and that was a result, I think, of Pelissier's involvement, and also Paya, who's such a hard man to tackle. Trust me, he's almost impossible to stop once he gets
I'll take your word for it.
I'd like to watch that.
No, I really wouldn't like to be involved in anything like that.
But you know, John, just on that, you talk about Pelissier and Paya. Every time they start to get momentum, Leon wants to come to the ruck and go first receiver and take the ball hard into their defensive line, and that's when that error comes. You just see it curtail. And I reckon those two blokes will be the big difference, especially with Henderson being off the field, having a break. He's going to come on fresh. They can hold the ball, they'll win the ruck.
But also, if you look at it, you know, there's been a lot of errors. Some has been unforced, a lot has been forced, because if you look at the tackle technique, a lot of the tackles, they go ball and all. They know there's humidity there. They know the ball is going to be slippery, so they attack the ball. So you have to kind of really secure the ball when you take a ball in.
It's definitely been mentioned before the game. The ball's greasy. We know as players, and the coaches know, when the ball's greasy and the conditions are like that, you'll focus your shoulder contact around the ball, and a lot of the mistakes you've seen is from the shoulder contact on the ball, a loose arm near the ball, and you know, if as a player, defending player, that the ball's a chance of coming out. And both teams have probably, you're right, actually, we're giving all the benefit of the doubt here to the attacking side, saying, you know, they maybe shouldn't be making the errors, but you've got to credit some good, strong defensive defensive contact.
From a coaching point of view and a playing point of view, that would be an in-house stat, a forced error. That you'd say, from a defensive point of view, who's going to force an error when they've got the ball? So you're thinking of your contact up underneath the ball. So that'd be something at half-time. They might say to a player, you've forced two, well done. So it'd be in-house.
We will take a look at the handling errors very shortly. I just want to read you a few of the tweets and texts emails have come through about the Blanche try that was disallowed. Let me just read some and then you can guide me through it. Tim Ward, harsh ruling from Ganson with such confusing rules. Dom Oddy, though, correct decision. Thought the RFL were going to be inconsistent again. Mike Holmes, classic video referee action. Find a minor technical reason to disallow good play. It was good play by Scott Giroux. It was a good finish as well by Damien Blanche. But take us through the ruling here, Ian.
Well, if you look at the bloke who played the ball, SK, he's offside because the ball went from the dummy half back to Giroux to kick the ball. Yeah. Now, the reasoning here is it is consistent. The ruling's correct. They've done that well. What we should be debating is that he's got to be outside the 10 metres from the kick. Now, he's in front of him, OK? So he's got to stay outside the 10 metres. Because he knocks the ball on doesn't mean he's onside. It doesn't make him onside. Now, if you look here to play the ball, that's the bloke. Now, follow from the kick, the bloke who played the ball. He's got to stay 10 metres back from the bloke. Now, what we're trying to say here, he doesn't force the error. He doesn't have any play in the error.
He's involved in the second phase, isn't he?
Yeah, here he comes. Yeah, Steve Menzies knocks the ball back. There he is.
There.
Now, that's where they need to change the rule. Yeah. Of course, he hasn't had anything to do with the error, and because he's been inside the 10, he should be allowed to come on play, but the ruling says, and the referee got it right in the video ref.
Scott Giroux's kicking was influential in that first half as well.
Well, keep in mind, for any viewers that don't know, on the line in rugby league is out, and it's a game of millimetres.
So he was millimetres away from a 40-20, and then the drop goal as well, which at that stage put Catalan 7-6 ahead. You just want to come back to the disallowed try, John?
I just think, with the disallowed try, there's one thing here that we're sort of missing, is that it was a video referee decision. If that player was at any rugby ground where the video referee's not at, it's a try. 100% that try is given, and the inconsistency comes where we're reliant upon this technology for the decisions we give. Either we look at a way of funding video technology at every game, or we take into account the little idiosyncrasies and the inconsistency what it throws up.
It's very difficult for the referee.
Yeah, extremely.
He gives that try. It's a great finish, and it's very difficult, but they have to be consistent. But yeah, and it's the free play, which is a great new law. Giroux kicks it, Blanche catches it, and he scores a brilliant try. But I think that if he's not involved in the forcing of the error, then I think it's play on.
So what we're saying is there's something wrong with the rule rather than the officiating.
Can I say with your tweets are correct,
yes,
but the referee's got it right. What the tweets should be saying, why can't we change the rule, have more flexibility, and where the bloke who doesn't involve the error, he can get the benefit from it.
There's 4 people in the shot when that kick gets put up, and Menzies putting pressure on him. There's 2 of the Catalans players putting pressure on him. There's Hull players in the area. Now, for us to assume that the officials are going to pick up that Ascari's come from the play the ball area, I think it's more or less
tough.
We might have to tag every player.
Also, the fact it was disallowed meant we couldn't talk about John's comment that Blanche should have caught it on the full rather than letting it bounce.
I agree with John.
Do you?
Yeah. He's a wing. He should have caught it.
He took
I've never played on the wing.
I have.
Can I say he took the odds? He was saying, I hope I get the right bounce, hope I get the right bounce. While that was happening, he was getting pressure. What we probably would, as coaches, say, attack the ball, be positive. But I've got to say, it was great work the way he got the ball down. It deserved a try.
Yeah. Keep the tweets coming to #BBCRL. Ian thinks you're talking an awful lot of sense. Let's go back to when the game was a lot simpler, shall we? Here's more of Ray French's World Cup memories.
The 1972 final was one which, even after extra time, was drawn, but Great Britain won by virtue of a better record in the preliminary matches. Australia were the big favourites, but Great Britain pulled it off, and it was thanks to 2 former colleagues of mine. George Nichols put a huge tackle in on the big Australian centre. He was a 15, 16 stone lad, this Mark Harris, and he could have scored. He could actually scored at the other end. The ball was dislodged onto the floor, a bounce, and Clive Sullivan, who had played alongside me in the 68 trip, he picked it up but Clive could run. Believe you me, he was like a whippet. He could run. Quick sidestep and he was off. 90 yards straight down the track. There was nobody going to catch Clive.
Can he go, Sullivan? Can he go? I don't think anybody's going to catch him. I don't think anybody's going to catch him. Everybody's saying go, 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 and he goes on a try to Sullivan.
One of the great moments, I think, in rugby league history.
Another World Cup memory from Ray French, and of course there are World Cup games in France when the tournament gets underway at the end of October. New Zealand against France is at the beginning of November, and then 10 days later France take on Samoa, and you can enjoy the Rugby League World Cup with us here on the BBC. Our coverage begins on Saturday, October the 26th, with that double header between Australia and England, and then Wales versus Italy. Saturday, October the 26th. Then our second quarter-final of the weekend in the Challenge Cup is tomorrow. Warrington against Huddersfield. We get underway at 4 o'clock, and we will have the semi-final draw straight after the match in Warrington. And before us tomorrow afternoon, you've got the Athletics World Trials and UK Championships live from Birmingham with Gabby from 2 o'clock. See how the dressing rooms are looking. Hull are back out of theirs already. They've ditched the ice and they are coming down the tunnel. I just wonder whether we're talking about the humidity here, John, how difficult it will be for either side. You know, one of them is likely to be trailing going into the last 10 minutes, and they're going to need that final push.
Yeah, I think one thing, both sides have done quite a lot of defending off the back of the errors, and defence is energy sapping because it involves your whole team moving, your whole team working together, and both sides will be tired. The big key for me is the side which controls the ball. Brian mentioned it before the game, Brian Noble mentioned it, it's key. The side that controls the ball well in the early periods of the second half will no doubt be energised come the back end of the half, and when you need to score points, when you maybe need to put pressure on the opposition, you know, that side will be certainly prominent.
It's also, you know, when you get tired, you lose concentration. But also, is where you play the game in the last maybe 10-15 minutes. You want to be playing in their kind of 20-metre area. Then the ball will get slippery, lose concentration. But I still think that there's a lack of composure at the moment. You know, there's no composure from any side, because when they get in the position, they all want to score. You know, so whoever gets the composure, I think, will win it.
So that highlights actually the youth that we spoke about beforehand and the experience we spoke about beforehand. Ian now needs to help the kids.
Well, it does, but Scott Duro's got the best kicking team out of all the players on the field. If he can kick like we know he can kick and make them come off the line, that's where you can force some errors. You're going to get some dominance. I think his kicking game is going to be vital this half. And it makes a good point, the guys, is they play a power game, Catalans. If they use up too much energy, it's going to be hard to have that power late.
It's fascinatingly poised. A big 40 minutes ahead. A semi-final place in the Challenge Cup at stake. Let's go back to Brian and Dave.
Well, out of that coal and back into the heat again for this second half. Just the 1 point between them. Catalan 7, Hull 8, low-scoring game. In part due to the conditions. A lot of mistakes here today. It is a slippery ball because of the sweat that is being produced by both sides, working hard to try and dominate. Brian Noble, how do we see this second half going here?
Well, both teams probably need a little bit of improvement. I think Hull will be really pleased with where they're at. I think they'll just rock it out, as we say, and get to the right end of the field. I think both teams will have spoken about it, but it's the team that's going to execute their plan the better. You know, when Catalan explode into football, that's when Hull have to hang on. And alternatively, if Hull get to the right parts of the field, I think they've looked dangerous. And there's the first one.
Andy Lynch has knocked on. Yeah, Jamal Fakir has dropped on it. Oh, and now he's given a penalty. Well, he's given a penalty. I'm not sure whether that was a late decision. But it is a penalty, and while he kicks this to touch, let's hear from Tony Arnold, who's got some injury news down on the touchline.
Not injury news, Dave. The messages from the two half-times. Brian pretty much read what the whole dressing room had been saying, which was more of the same. Keep the pressure up. They're very positive. Force the errors. From Catalan, they need more energy, more effort, and to reduce the errors to get them more precious. They're saying they're in a vicious circle.
Here comes Leroy galloping forward. It was Andy Lynch, the latest man to fail to keep hold of this ball. Pelissier now picks up from dummy half. Up up to the 40 metres. What a start here, because that is only tackle 1. The first was a 0 tackle. So 5 from here. Look at the energy now. Tyre to this left-hand side. Milan. Drag high, was he? No, he wasn't. Not from the referee's point of view. Tyre picks up. This is Price. On comes Jamal Fakir, who hammers it forward again. Good response in defence from Danny Tickle, who came across with that left shoulder. Pelissier. Giroud. Just timing that pass. But Hull's defence hanging on here. Desperate they do in these opening 2 minutes. Scott Giroud stepping to the left, a hand offered by Whiting. Lapini Pia offloads and touchdown by Morgan Escarre. Hull's defence unpicked in these early moments. Morgan Escarre is the man who's into the dazzling headlights, but Lapini Pia did ever so well there.
Well, he could have got over himself, and his unselfish play, he made sure this Giroud gets the money ball to Pair on the inside, and the offload was it slightly forward. Escarre sniffing around like all good fullbacks do. So Giroud comes back on the inside, exploits the Lynch that misses the play. Yeah, that's a fair try.
And Richard Whiting's role here.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite work out who was on the inside that Payer Giroud beat with the inside ball, and it's just the worst players, the one at the other end on player 1 from the restart of a tap, the drop ball which gave them the whole field position. Just the start the Catalans wanted.
Well, what a year he's having. Morgan Escarre, little known outside this particular region at the start of 2013. But my word, he's a headline grabber as the season goes on and on. 17 tries in 17 appearances now for Morgan Escarre. We'll see him in the World Cup. Certain of that as a potential French star. Here comes Scott Giroud to add the 2. Which gives his side a 13 points to 8 lead. So it is still tied, it's still tense.
It's Whiting that gets exposed in the middle, isn't it? He overreads the play, overreads, goes hard as Whiting to fully intercept, really. It's a dangerous play going for an intercept on your own line. And Piers, you've got to say it's the money ball because he gets it to Escarre. Escarre is Johnny on the spot to finish it off.
So here's Westerman with the restart. A little bit of history, by the way. Catalan, when they reached the final in 2007, beat Hull at this stage of the competition. That was at Hull, though. There's another knock-on. Yes, it is. Knock-on, so Hull get the ball back straight away.
Well, Perry had done the tough things. He hit the line as hard as he could and looked like he was trying to get his hand free to offload against it. He'd done a big bit there. That's good work from the Hull defence. They're vigorous there and give themselves a fabulous opportunity to turn tail straight away.
Okay, listen to the out call before you break. Onside.
There's Ben Gallagher with his ice pack. And here comes Yeaman.
It'd be interesting to have a look at the tally count on the bench of who can go back, because interchange might make a huge part in this game.
This is Miller. Now Gareth Ellis. Didn't have the best of games when Hull played here back at the start of June. Houghton, Westerman, mind you, not many Hull players did that day. Here comes Miller, back to Heremiah. Heremiah now on. McDonald will take on the line and offers it to Lynham. And the form he's in, Tom Lynham this season, was never going to miss from that opportunity. So as quickly as Catalan scored in this second half, just as quickly Hull have provided the perfect response.
Oh, they're just a little bit passive on the fringe, weren't they, the French? I thought they could have been a whole lot more powerful, because Hull had passed before the line and given the opportunity to move on here, and just back off, and back off, don't they? Just keep Donald with injection of pace and line them up. But when you're that big and they're that strong, you ain't going to be stopped from there. So it's a little bit like a snowball coming downhill. It's too big when it's rolled down that far. You've got to get up and knock his knees together and wait before the line. So I'd be disappointed that will Laurent Fresnier will be straight back in the game for Hull. It's tit for tat. Start the second half.
13-12, Tickle's kick to come. The difference between leading and losing this particular kick. And we talk about young players who've made big impressions this season, and we talked a little bit about them before the game kicked off, but Ben Crooks and Tom Lynham, that right-hand side centre-wing partnership, Crooks not necessarily involved there, but Lynham with a finish. Those two have been an absolute breath of fresh air for Hull FC, haven't they?
They've lifted, when there's been a little bit gloomy over there at FC, they've lifted it, haven't they?
Musk not involved today. Danny Tickle just taking a measure of this. Took over the kicking duties from Westerman when he came on the pitch a short while ago, or a short while into the first half. Left-footed kicker, so he does curl this one into the posts, which might be to his advantage, but he's not curled it quite enough. So it remains a Catalan lead by 13 points to 12.
Well, they execute a play here, Hull, but it is manageable. But it's the speed of McDonald that gets him over the line there, and the short pass is too hard to stop from there. But 2 tries on the back of 2 play, 1 errors, if we're honest. Gives them some free field position, and it's hard to defend the line in this weather.
Well, just a try apiece in the first half, but we've had a try apiece already in the early stages of this second half. So the suggestion is it's going to be a much more free-scoring game as the match winds on. It's Lynch. Here's Danny Houghton. There's his part in attack, but boy, does he play his part in defence as well, doesn't he, Danny Houghton? He is a prolific tackler.
Looks like he's going to have to go 80 as well, isn't he?
Very often does, doesn't he? He's never present this season as well.
Tough kid.
Here's Briscoe. Running into the welcoming arms of Tear and Peer and Leroy. Houghton again. Just about got the kick away before the kick pressure was made to tell. Here's Blanche. And Catalan start, well, I was going to say just short of the 40, but look at this. They're going to start not far away from the 20 at the end of that tackle.
They took him back 12 metres, and that's great work from Westerman and Ellis and Whiting. And now they'll be looking to restrict the French team, and they're all offside on the short side.
Well, it's going to take 3 tackles to get to the point where they should have been after just the 1.
And they've done so well with the kick pressure, as it enabled Blanche to kick the ball.
Oh, Jamal Fakir, it hurts just watching him, doesn't it? You want to wince.
To play the position he plays, you've got to have that element of recklessness and, you know, scant regard for your own safety in a lot of respects.
Millard plays, Taya puts it onto Price. Price gets the kick away before Crooks gets to him. Down it comes. Taken well enough by Shannon MacDonald, even though it was a steeplingly big kick. And Pellissier had put a very good run in. But look at Catalan's defence stepping up here. 2 tackles gone, and Hull only 5 from their own line. Briscoe will have a go. Out they come, and back he goes into the own in-goal. And to be tackled on tackle 3 in your own in-goal area tells you an awful lot about the effort of the defence.
Magnificent effort from the Catalans. Magnificent tackle here from, was it Dupont, that drags him back, because that's danger when Tom Lyndon's running across there. He gets them the outside of Dupont, and he's gone, trust me. That's 3 great tackles, and we saw that from Hull on the start of that set from the Catalan. Anything you can do, we can do better.
How are you coping in the heat, by the way? Tough day for a big fella like you, isn't it? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Keep drinking plenty of water. Here comes the kick. Escarre picks up. Driven back by Casti. And the crowd just settled themselves here for another wave of atmosphere provided on the back of what's going to be a big effort here from Catalan on attack. Hull being asked an awful lot of questions in these next 4 tackles. Henderson, Giroud, dummies to Tyre, then drops it out. Escarre, a little over-elaborate.
Well, he wasn't there, and it's the no-look pass to, and it went a no-look pass to no-look anybody, because he's just too far away as Escarre, and he needed to turn his shoulder a little bit more, Jura, and fire the pass back to him, and ball was always going away from him.
So a return of the mistakes. I don't think they'll ever be too far away.
Listen to the outcome. Yep. Get in.
For the sake of those watching who don't know the history of this Catalan club, it's not an expansion team in terms of rugby league, because this is very much a rugby league heartland, isn't it? It's Catalan's position in the Super League is owed to the fact that there are two clubs, Catalan and Sant Esteve, who merged some years ago with the sole intention of joining the English Super League, and that's what happened. They've been very successful. And here they are again, Leroyer. Here's Henderson. This is Giroud. That's Casti. He was caught high. Westerman.
Probably not as bad as it looks.
Well, the locals are baying for blood. I think they want to see a card of one colour or another. There is a growing feeling in these parts that they do get picked on by the officials, don't they? Whether it be a video referee or players sin-binned and sent off in what the locals think are entirely unjustified circumstances.
Well, it's the footwork that does Westerman, and it needs to be a little bit better than that.
I'm very proud of the fact that he's signed for the NRL, the Catalan club, Remy Casti, for next season. 2-year deal down under with his former coach, of course, Trent Robinson. So the penalty gives them a chance to kick for touch and a tap restart 15 metres away from where they want to be. Here's Giroud. Oh, and it's dropped again. Simon, I think, this time. Well, it's error after error in a match that's proving very, very scrappy in the heat and humidity.
Well, let's have a look at this one. It's just impact on the ball.
We talk about the Catalan side being used to these conditions. Somebody was saying a little earlier it's been a rather cool summer from a Perpignan perspective, so maybe they're not used to these conditions because they are fairly recent.
Well, there's a huge tip. If you hit the ball with your shoulder, you can force an error. We've got around 50 minutes of it now.
Bastille Day tomorrow in France, of course, and there's a huge party planned locally here tonight in celebration of that. I think it might be fuelled just a little if this side, the Catalan side, can make their way to the semi-finals. At Hull, hoping to be party poopers. This is Houghton. From dummy half from just short of the halfway line. Macquarie very relieved to see that ball topple and tipple its way.
It's not about
beyond the
tactic
dead ball
from
line.
Hull. I'd be tempted to kick, with the big size of the French pack, I'd be tempted just to keep turning them round.
Well, I wanted the quick one, but Richard Silverwood pointing out that Henderson was in front of him, so he has to take it again.
I think it was the fact that he wasn't on the mark.
Henderson. We talked about the effort in defence from Catalan a short while ago. What about this from Hull? They started on the 20 and 2 tackles later. They're still on the 20. But they go a little wider. Here's Tyre.
Three. Move! On the go, wait. Go.
Oh, there's suddenly room. Well manoeuvred down this left-hand side for Bakary to have a go. Has to come inside to beat McDonald. Runs into Miller. Will stop there. But here we go. This is Price. Now it's Menzies. Menzies with the offload. Delightfully so.
Great tackle.
Duport stopped very effectively by Briscoe. Giroud puts it high on the final tackle. He's taken late, or at least that's the local claim. Superb catch in the air. They keep it alive here. Still the sixth tackle. Still Catalan search. Escarre out to his left-hand side. Fumble by Freddie Bakary. And out of play. And they're still claiming that they should have had a penalty, Catalan, for the late take on Giroud.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was a penalty, but it was a fabulous short side play, wasn't it? Great break from the Catalan team. Duport flying away. Watch this. Comes late and arrives late, and he's gone. This is Vakary, isn't he? Got the support, just couldn't quite get free, and they say it's a fair tackle from
It's a real lung-busting effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, McDonald as well to get to him, doesn't he?
A reminder, by the way, that tomorrow you can see the second quarter-final. Warrington against Huddersfield. There should be an absolute cracker between two sides who occupy two of the top 3 spots in Super League. 4 o'clock it starts, and then the semi-final draw takes place straight afterwards. We already know London are in it. One of these two, Warrington or Huddersfield, and Wigan or Widnes, of course, who play on Monday night. Here's Watts. This is Danny Houghton. Oh, a little bit of a gap. Behind that rock, and a good offload as well. Here's McDonald. Cleverly worked here by Hull. Had he been able to get it wide, there was an overlap, but the two defenders advancing quickly.
Is it the new talent? Okay, is it the new talent?
Miller's kick, taken by Vakary. Price. Well, there's some hard yards to be made here, and that's the easiest way to give up possession. Another mistake. Damien Blanche this time. It was the messiest of play-the-balls, wasn't it?
It was. And that's the vigour of Hull's defence. They really are front-loading their effort. And every day of the week is either a drop ball or a knock-on from the dummy half as well. So good field position now for Hull.
I'm sure these records aren't kept, but if they were, this is perhaps the most mistake-ridden Challenge Cup game of the year so far. There's been so many mistakes. You're pulling your face.
I just don't know where you would pull that stat from, is what I'm saying. Who do you ask about that one?
There'll be someone somewhere with that kind of negativity to sit down and make a note. Here's Crooks. Good footwork by him, but defenders were there. This is Danny Houghton. Miller. Tickle wants to get up and play this as quickly as he can. Houghton again. Watts. Oh, that was a poor pass from him, and Henderson picking up on that mistake. Here's Menzies. It's a game with plenty of tension, but without any flow. It's another penalty.
Well, he's got the double whammy there, Watts. He's dropped the ball and given Catalan the ball and on a poor pass, and then he's given the penalty away. So, gosh, it's tough in this weather doing those kind of things, but both sides are just... Who's going to look after it? The first team that controls it for a couple of sets is going to come up with something here, Dave.
Well, the Catalan supporters getting in good voice again here. Henderson. Leroy.
Leon Price has been suspiciously quiet. I reckon if you got him in at dummy half, he could cause some real problems. Here he is on the ball
well, here
now.
He comes now, yeah, it's the pass to Tyre there, Tyre with a twist. The scurry was looming, but not quickly enough. I think Jeremiah might be hurt here as well, and Tickle has stayed down too. This could be a double whammy for Hull, because they have two players down. Jeremiah. And my suspicion here is Jeremiah's head has hit Tickle's leg.
Well, there's the error.
That was a knock-on. Yeah. In the hands of our French hosts here. See if they provide us with a replay of the moment that caused this bit of strife here. So Aaron Jeremiah.
There we go. A clash of heads, or is it on his knee, on the side of his head? Taya's complaining that he didn't have any support because he got his hands free. There he is, but...
Well, here's another concern. Oh, there's a clash of heads with Danny Tickle. I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Well, a double concern. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. In the short term, it's one of their middlemen, one of their playmakers, and obviously they'll miss him from that point of view. But over the longer term with the interchanges, if he's forced off on a permanent basis here.
And that's one of the questions I asked when we came back on air in the second half is who has the most interchanges left to try and change the game later on. And the injuries, I was specifically thinking about Galea. Could he go back, etc., etc. And, you know, if they lose Jeremiah here, then obviously the obvious candidate to go into the house would be Richard Whiting. And with Jacob Miller, but it definitely means that Danny Houghton doesn't get a rest. So they'll have to do it tough, Hull.
Well, the interchanges at the moment, the Catalan have used 7 and Hull have used 6.
Soon to be 7 would be my guess. He doesn't look very well, does he?
No.
Keep his eyes peeled off the balls.
Bang. Oof. On the top of his scone.
Most carries of the day, by the way, from Catalan's point of view. Zeb Taya. It's his 14th that he's taken it up today. Confirmation for the bench that Bengale is definitely not, is definitely not coming back on.
Heads in, Danny. Okay. Ball in. Ouch! Time back on. Come on, boys.
Good tackle.
Jeremiah, for the time being, stays on.
Hold, go.
Here's Watts.
2. Move, oh boys. Wait. Hold.
Danny
Go.
Houghton.
2.
This is Mark O'Mealy.
3.
He's been driving it in all over the world for a long time now, Mark O'Mealy. He's another in the 30s, 32 years of age. He's retiring at the end of this season. Here's Danny Tickle. Good offload, unless it's picked up by Catalan. It's not. I think there might have been a Catalan touch. We'll give them another set here. Danny Houghton exploiting a little bit of a gap in the middle. And now MacDonald is up there in support and sprinting away to find more support. Had he passed it, Briscoe might have been over, but MacDonald is put down. Options cut down by 2 retreating defenders, but here they come again, Hull. Tickle wants to get it on, does get it on. Quick hands to Westerman. Westerman now out to Crooks. This is a try. Oh, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh.
Just enough work done by Freddie Bakary to prevent Crooks getting a clean pass away to line
just had to back himself, go off the line or pass earlier. Oh, exactly. That's just the way everybody's feeling. Great break up the middle. I was about to say Houghton looks been the most dangerous player at the middle for Hull, and he makes another break, gets hung on to by his breeches. MacDonald supports him, and they've got the clear run in for the score. That's a big let-off for this Catalan team.
How long to go? 20 minutes left to play here.
There's the offload.
Story that's still to be told.
Run and pass.
Let's keep going, last 20. 20. Okay.
It's worth reminding you, by the way, that if this is all square at the end of 80 minutes, they go into golden point extra time.
Okay, mate, let's go. Out! Time back on.
Having a drop goal so early in the match kind of suggests there's a less likelihood of extra time, but you never know. Here comes that little run from dummy half by Henderson. Here's Price. Well, they're keeping it alive, but they're not making much yardage forward at the moment. Leroy tries to put that right.
Just for our viewers, if you get 2 or 3 offloads in your exit, you're prepared to play that way, it makes it twice as hard for the defending team. So it will take juice out of the whole team, but they didn't make much progression forwards.
Rather vigorous claims again from the stands that should have been a penalty. Henderson to Taya. Taya left to Millard. The Fijian international may well be featuring against England in the World Cup as well. This is Giroud finding a position to get that kick away. It's caught by Shannon MacDonald, who, by the way, is eligible for Ireland, so he too could be featuring in the World Cup in the autumn.
10 hold. On the go. Go.
Miller. This now is Lynham, who keeps it alive again. Ellis out to Yeaman. Not too many options on his outside, so back in for Ellis again.
They're both prepared to throw the ball around and they haven't been looking after it too well. Do you know what? It might make the difference. It might be the answer.
Oh, here's Briscoe,
an answer.
who's got some space to run into. I think it was Menzies who just grabbed hold of his ankles. It was. But they still have it. They still have it alive. Hull trailing here, but only by the point. And they'll be sniffing a suggestion of glory in this set here. Momentum is with them. Miller. Jeremiah. Over the top. This now is Crooks. Quickly onto Lynham, whose way is equally quickly blocked. Still a couple of tackles to go. Tickle. So it's the last tackle coming up. Miller spinning it high. Briscoe underneath it. I think he might have got a touch. Menzies collects it from an offside position because there was a Catalan touch as well. Or is he saying it's a shoulder charge here?
Yeah, he's saying there's a shoulder charge and it's a penalty.
You blocked him straight in there.
You blocked him straight in there. That's what the referee's saying. Have a look at this. What do you reckon?
Well, Duport's not looking at the ball. He's going to defend his player, and as adjudicated, it's a penalty.
It's a bonus for Hull, and it's a terrific position for Hull as well. 18 to go. Houghton, 5 yards away. Miller, Jeremiah. Gets out of one would-be tackle from Taya.
Danger.
Houghton. The real hard labour on the pitch to Marco Mealy, one of the muscle men. Houghton bends his back again and spins it out to Miller. Oh, it's an interception, is it? No, it's not. Juro back into the hands of McDonald. And Shannon McDonald will see his side get another set of 6 here.
Got to tell, Dave. He's got to tell. I think it was nearly gone, wasn't it, Juro?
That is Watts, who's put down in the shadows of those sticks. Houghton. O'Mealy has dropped it. Ascare picks it up. And for the umpteenth time today, a team on attack are thwarted by their own clumsy handling.
Well, look what it's taken out of the Catalan team. 5 players on their haunches here, and O'Mealy can't hang on to the ball. Try and route one right over the top of that middle Catalan defence, but gosh, you'd have to say both teams have defended their line really well, haven't they? I had to.
Not mention the heat for 5 minutes, but it's worth repeating, isn't it? That gives you a kind of a visual indication of what they're going through at the moment.
Well, the heat's going up because the sun's come out, believe it or not, later in the day. I just think Houghton and Briscoe have been the dangerous players in this game for Hull. They've created the opportunities, and McDonald's fed off the back of that and got him into the right parts of the field. They've been ruining the bomb, trying the right-hand side down there for them, and Catalan are just that kind of team that just might jab you with the counter-punch.
And you say Briscoe and Houghton, obviously the dummy half plays. Do you see that becoming more and more prevalent as the game goes on, as defenders tire
well,
in that ruck area?
It's been successful for Hull. We saw in the first half, I thought Whiting found his front, and you're prepared to be patient in and around there. I think Catalan, even their successes have come from them, marching up the field from those little darts from dummy half.
Getting through a set of 6 is priority number 1 here. Nunes, Henderson, Price. Now that step again, but they were waiting. Henderson. Here's Remy Casti. Tough effort from a tough player, but that was tackle 5. So here comes the last. Juro's going to try and run it a little further. The pass has gone forward, has it? No, it's not. Blanche, therefore, has to put boot to ball because on the 6 he'd run out of options. McDonald.
Move! Back on me. No penalties. Hold. Go. 2.
Menzies got caught out there. I'd be looking down there, Danny. That's it. Run down there.
Oh, here's Houghton again. Again from dummy half. On it goes to Briscoe. Briscoe with a dummy. He really backed himself. And with due confidence. What about that for a try? You called it. Brian Noble called it. That's where the danger was going to come from, and that's where it did come from. Danny Houghton, like lightning from dummy half, despite all the hard labour he's done. And Briscoe with the confidence and the pace to finish it.
Well, he had a player out there as well with just Jeremiah, but he backed himself, and they'd been the 2 most dangerous players, and they show up on the same play. Menzies couldn't get back in the line, so there's space in and around the ruck, and great play from Houghton, great pass. Tom Briscoe, wow, boom, out of a gun, and is that the score that brings the black and whites home?
Well, it certainly gives them the lead. 16 points to 13 now. With a kick in front of the sticks, it will be 18 points to 13. Andy Tickle will go through all due diligence here, all the routine, all the build-up, but he knows, like everybody else, that this is 99.9% certainty, these added 2 points. But it remains a one-score game. One score, a try and a goal for Catalan will put them back in it. Back in front, rather. At 6:35 on a sweltering evening in Perpignan, Laurent Frézineux, with a rather furrowed brow, knows that his side have got a big response to give here. Otherwise, they are going out of the Challenge Cup.
Back on.
Tickles 2 points, makes it 13 for Catalan, 18 for Hull. Time in the game for Catalan to make a winning situation out of a losing one, but Hull with the advantage now.
That was a great break from Danny Houghton. He just deserves all the plaudits for the way he keeps his game going. He spots the hole, creates the hole. Briscoe has the confidence to beat the fullback.
Was going to let it bounce. Oh. Well, what more could I do, he says with arms outstretched, but Westerman had to catch that, hadn't he?
Yeah, he just has to go forward and catch it. He went back 2 paces.
Oh, it's Watts. I do apologise to Joe Westerman. It was Liam Watts, wasn't it?
The minute Sharon McDonald bailed out on that one, Watts wasn't going to catch it. Well, we saw it at the start of the first half, didn't we? An error from play one from the Catalan allows Hull into their half. It's a fair kick, that one, though.
But when it's driven back here by Mikel Simon, as long as he keeps hold of it, Catalan start the set inside their opponent's half. Here's Giroud. Casti. Good strong leg drive by Remy Casti as well.
It's good front rower, isn't it?
Henderson. This is Giroud. Now it's Teja on this left-hand flank. Down that channel in which he loves to run and which he has galloped several times so far in this game. Giroud. Muniz. Gregory Muniz. One of those survivors from that 2007 Cup final. Would love to repeat the experience of that day. Henderson again. Giroud. This is Price. Here's Escaré. Jiggle the hips, but to no great advantage to his side. Now, what's been given here? The touch judge is on this near side. Robert Hicks, the touch judge on this near side, is coming on.
Has he been whacked off the ball, Giroud?
And they're asking Steve Ganson, the video referee, to have a look at this as well.
Oh yeah, it's late, isn't it?
It's a late challenge.
On the back of the head.
It's in the back.
Yeah. Chris Green.
Given a penalty.
Well, Chris Green has been the beneficiary of one Steve Ganson decision this year, but not that one. It means that Catalan will get a set of 6 here. And here's Simon with a drive 10 metres away. What a moment this is in this game. Catalan with 5 more tackles to come, and Hull desperate to hang on again here. Giroud to Price to Teja. Good work in defence from Jeremiah. Another penalty.
It was.
The flop after the tackle was completed. Henderson with a tap. Here comes Casti. Hull drained of energy. But Casti's got that ball away to Henderson. Great response on the whole defence, by the way. But what about that offload from Remy Casti?
Yeah.
Real sleight of hand.
Took Henderson by surprise, where he may have buried his way over.
Simon to Price. Menzies. Hull's defence numbering up.
Great
Back to
offload.
Menzies again. It's as good as another tackle, an offload like that. Hull's defence being made to work overtime here. Already doubling up. This is Teja again. 2 tackles gone. It seems an age before Hull can get the ball back in their hands. They've got 4 more tackles to make here. No, they don't, because Casti's knocked on. Well, what a big, big relief for that Hull defence.
That just might be the try-saving tackle on the inside on Casti there. They're trying to squeeze it on. Watts gets across and forces there. A great tackle underneath, I think. Did that man again, Danny Houghton, is it? It's a great tackle underneath. Dislodges the ball from Casti.
It's worth singing his praises, Danny Houghton, because try scorers and goal kickers always get the real headlines, don't they? But his defending, his tackling, Danny Houghton, is absolutely prolific. Before this game, he'd made 882 tackles in 21 Super League games. And if you're wondering about the context of that, the next highest tackler in the whole team is Andy Lynch, who's a worker, who only made 546. He's made 280 tackles, nearly more than his nearest rival, so to speak, in that whole team. And he still does his work from dummy half as well.
Well, he's made the difference offensively, hasn't he? Every break they've made, he's been at the heart of.
Wait. It's like that. Get your head in. Okay. Out! Time back on.
This is Catalan's 100th tackle of the game, by the way, continuing those stats. Hull have had to make 131 so far. Here's Danny Houghton. This is Whiting. He's an oft underrated player, isn't he, Richard Whiting?
Well, it shows up. He's one of those people that you have in your squad, and his quality all the time. He does things. What price of Houghton run again now?
Here is Danny Houghton. Green lifted in the air. He's lost possession as he did so. It's the advantage play. The advantage play. Well, they're groaning and moaning, the Catalan fans, because they thought that was an attempt at giving the ball away. I don't think they realise this new advantage rule is in play, because as soon as Catalan tried that, everybody started booing because they thought their side had given it up. Maybe they're a little more content now when they realise it's still head and feet to their side.
But they've got to find a bit of composure here, I think. I think the Hull are defending magnificently, I really do. They're having to do when this kind of play comes into their equation.
A lot of Catalonian palms, slapped a lot of Catalonian heads there, and they're still doing it. But 18-13, Hull lead. 10 minutes left to play. Give or take the odd 10 seconds. This is Price. And another set that could prove mightily significant in the context of this game. Here comes Taya.
And get square. Hold.
Henderson a chance to have a look around right and left. Would have wanted it played quicker. Here comes Giroud. This is Casti again with another urge and a surge. Hull's defenders keen to make sure he can't get the offload away. Tackles are counting down slowly. Henderson, Giroud, Menzies. It's a penalty for Catalan. It's another set of 6, 10 metres from that whole line.
Well, they begin every opportunity, haven't they, the Catalan, and I just think it's either been an off, or here we see Henderson's hit late off the ball by, let's see who it was. Oh, it's
Westerman.
Joe Westerman. And it's a shoulder charge, which is a penalty anyway, even if he was on time.
Here's Paya. How much stomach have you got for defence was the question asked there. Plenty was the black and white response. Muniz trying to twist around, and still they scramble and work hard on their own line. Now it's Henderson to feed it on to another willing runner. Twisted a turn, but look how many are swarming around him. 3 in the first instance, 5 by the time the tackle's complete. Giroud, so they go wide. Menzies out, Dupont, and they're still there in numbers. It's a terrific effort.
Great defence from Hull.
On their own line, when it hurts harder than ever. Taya on this left-hand side. And Jeremiah this time is the hero in black and white. That's 5. What about the 6th? Henderson, Price with a kick. Down it comes. Good take by Blanche, but on the 6th. And the tackle completed before he can get it away. And Hull FC deserve a huge round of applause from the way they defended
They've
there.
done great. I just think the difference in this game, anybody that finds a quick play the ball and the whole world opens up, because it's a hot, slow day. Everybody find some wins, and we've seen Houghton make breaks. Great leap here from Blanche. Just got to get rid of the ball on the bottom of it, and couldn't. Elbows touched the ground. The right call from the referee.
It is still a game to be won and lost. Hull hanging on in valiant style. and bringing it forward now with some relief and some relish. Westerman on tackle 3. Houghton the acting half. Lynch is back on the field. Here comes Miller, slips when he gets it away, but he does get it away. Escarre just suggesting he might try one over the top. Percentage ball said keep hold of it, and he did. Here comes Vakary.
They've worked really well out of marker, haven't they? Whole part and parcel of their game plan has been to stifle any opportunities that the Catalans have had at dummy half, and just one-up carries now from the French.
It's Blanche who's put down. 7 minutes left to play. Here comes Leon Price. Now it's Teyer. Oh, and Herremeyer again.
Knocked on.
Knocking on. Herremeyer's tackle around the ankles. Well, he's put a defensive stint in here today, hasn't he?
They all have. It's hard to single anybody out, but my word, they all have. He's nearly through this hole, isn't he, Teyer? Jiggles the ball there, trying to get it free again.
Well, Mark Chapman made a very good point before. Well, I think it was a half-time, wasn't it? On a day like this, when it gets to this stage of a match, when you have to lift yourself, when you're chasing a game, it's so much harder than when you're in the driving seat.
Lads, let's keep it quick, no penalties. Last 6 minutes. Okay, mate.
And it's Hull in the driving seat.
Heads in. Out.
But knowing that one slip, one missed tackle, one gallant Gallic effort, and it could go the other way.
Well, they have to concentrate defensively as well to the Catalans, because what they can't do is not expect Hull to challenge them again. Of course they can challenge them in the lead.
Here's Yeaman.
It's been the danger play all day. Dummy half running. And again.
Briscoe will have a go. With a line that's well set. Henderson's there, 2 more as well.
Move. Onside, Leon. Wait. Go, 4.
Houghton. Miller back on the inside to Whiting. Whiting tracking well. Ellis was there. He's got it away. As Whiting to Westerman. And that was the 5th.
Oh, boys.
Big play for Hull this. Ball behind.
Miller. It's an intelligent kick. Not offside. Well, an intelligent kick's only good if the chase is good, and the chase was a little too opportunistic, wasn't it? They got there too soon. Set off too soon.
6 minutes. Got to go the length of the field. Plenty of time.
Tight, is that what we call that?
Giroux's kick. Well, how about that for length?
That helps, doesn't it?
Massive kick from Scott Giroux. And a massive lifting noise from the Catalan supporters, who know that it's not far away from being one final fling. Pelissier. Here's Teyer. This is Millard. John Wilkin in the studio will have painful memories of Catalan's ability to score late tries to win games, when they did it against St. Helens last season. That was in the last few seconds. 5 minutes is a lifetime. Here comes Giroux again, on the step. Tickle, doing enough to make sure he slowed him down, and Lynch completing the tackle. Here comes Price. Escarre. Running into a bumping shoulder. Last tackle coming up. Giroux. Giroux with a kick into the in-goal area. Crooks, all he can do is take the ball, and all he can do is take the tackle. Drop out underneath the sticks.
Can they hang on? Can they hang on, Dave? Well, this is the excitement part of this game. It hasn't been a brilliantly skillful game, but it's so tense with the closeness of it, and that's probably the errors and the field position. And
well, you look at that whole body language, the way those players lined up behind the dead ball line there, lined up behind the goal line there, and Peter Gentle would have seen that and maybe worried, because that body language suggested this is a team that has given absolutely everything today, and they have. But with 4 minutes left to go, they've still got to give a little bit more. Can they? Can they? Back to the well for the Hull defenders. Back to the well for a little more inspiration and effort, knowing that a challenge is coming their way again here.
Move! Off him!
Catalan have 5 tackles and 40 yards to cover. Henderson. This now is Pellissier. Here's Giroud. Back to Price. Is there a big play from him left in this game?
This timing's a little bit out for the Catalan, isn't it?
Muniz with the step. O'Mealy round the legs. You're running no further. Here comes Price. Tear. They're 2 tired teams. Heavyweights on the ropes together. In the dying seconds of the round. For whom will the bell toll? It's Giroud's kick. It's Lineman got a touch. It's kept alive. The flag's up. What does the referee give here? Who's the feed, he asks.
Turnover.
Turnover. Hull survive again.
I think they're going to survive. I think they're going to survive. Yeah, he's in touch.
3 minutes to go, and I tell you, whichever of these sides gets through this, and if either get to Wembley, they will have faced no bigger effort, no bigger challenge than they faced here today. It's been relatively easy for Catalan so far in this competition against Hunslet in the 4th round and York in the 5th. 142 points they racked up in total. A little harder for the whole team, who had to beat Wakefield in the last round. But it's just got a little bit easier for Hull because a penalty gives them a chance to clear again.
I think he dropped the ball as well.
There's Miller with a kick.
Oh, mate.
Well, the Catalan fans are as quiet as they've been all day.
Well, they know they'll only get one more go with the ball, the Catalans, and the way they've been playing.
Here's O'Mealy. Solidly smashing it forward, keeping that ball safe to his chest. That's the main objective. Now it's Westerman. There's no fancy down stuff here from Hull.
Doesn't need to be. Had to be kicking the sideline as well and walking to the scrum.
4-5 drives and a kick, get it downfield. Here's Miller, offering it, then tries to take them on. Oh, he has lost it. He has lost it. 90 seconds left to play. 90 seconds for Challenge Cup fortunes to be made or broken. And Danny Houghton, a man of the match today here. The Tetley's Challenge Cup man of the match. And what a deserved recipient he's been.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely unbelievable work rate, but he's made the 3 incisive breaks that have brought points every time for Hull, and he's been the difference between the team. Him and Briscoe, I think, have been the difference.
So here we go. This, in all likelihood, will be the last set of 6 that Catalan have their hands on the ball. 5 more tackles for Hull to make. Here's Tay. Apologies, by the way, if you were offended by the language there we heard from the scrum, but trying circumstances, we do apologise. Here comes Henderson. That's 3. 3 more tackles for Hull to make, and a semi-final place surely beckons. Menzies now. Oh, he's lost it. They don't have to make the 3 tackles. They don't have to make them. All they have to do now is keep hold of the ball. Head and feet at the scrum. It will be their possession, and it should be their cup tie.
Absolutely.
Steve Menzies, of all the players. Well, the last time the Hull fans came to Catalan, they left in utter despair at their side's performance. Tonight they will be dancing away from this stadium.
Let's go, boys. Listen to the outcall. Stay close.
45 seconds to go. The average length of time, more or less, for a set of 6 to take place. Hull will not be hurried. They will take their time.
Let go. Ball's out. Go.
Here's Briscoe. Running it in and taking it down. Yeaman at dummy half. 25 seconds to go. 3 gone. 3 more tackles to go. This will be Ellis.
4.
Well, Catalan utterly frustrated here because all they can do is make their tackles and hope for a Hull mistake. It's unlikely to happen. It might even get better for Hull. It might even get better for Hull. Yeoman throws it on the inside. Shannon McDonnell makes absolutely sure. There are Catalan fans applauding that from Hull FC because it was a final moment of magic that gets them into a semi-final.
A brilliant break. Yeoman this time shows the advantage of running out dummy half on this tiring Catalan team, and McDonnell, as all fullbacks should be, backing up. Here he goes. Great finish to the game and a great victory for Hull. And they've done it the tough way, haven't they?
Absolutely no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. What a performance. Well, they're 80 minutes away from Wembley, the ground they famously have never won at. Is 2013 going to be lucky for Hull FC? They're in it with London. Tomorrow we find out whether it'll be Warrington or Huddersfield. And Wigan and Widnes do battle on Monday night. But if any game is as tense as this, it will be a good one, won't it? Any of those final two quarter-finals.
Absolutely. This has been tense for the wrong reasons. We haven't seen flowing, fabulous football, have we? In essence, Hull have run better out of dummy half and exploited the holes around the ruck on the Catalan team, and Catalan just couldn't hold on the ball for long enough periods. Didn't look threatening, and that's testament to Hull's defence as well. I thought they were magnificent today, and that's brought them home. They've counter-punched every opportunity. Yeoman out of dummy half, keeps his legs pumping, and McDonnell on the inside backs up. Deserved win for Hull, you have to say.
Well, the effort has been enormous from both sides, but especially hats off to Hull. The defence on their own try line in the dying embers of the game. 3 or 4 sets of 6 they defended on that line absolutely heroically. And I think we're going to be hearing from Peter Gentle, the Hull coach, who's speaking now with Tanya Arnold.
Peter, many congratulations. You've been put through the ringer today, haven't you?
We made it hard, didn't we? These conditions are horrendous. Yeah, you saw the quality of the game. It was like a cake of soap, the ball, and we kept gifting them. I think it was a 12-6 penalty count, so we decided to tackle our backsides off today. We made life difficult for us, but there's some quality there, some great character shown today. I'm that proud of them. Probably one of the most satisfying wins I've had since I've been at the club.
They put an immense amount of work in, didn't they? And as you said, in those conditions.
We spoke about every player bringing their best game, and I believe they did today. I really do.
I mean, you talked beforehand that you prepared really well for it, but this was a massive game for your club, wasn't it? In what's been a pretty tough run for you.
Yeah, it has, and it was a special day for us. Yeah, we wanted to win over here. This was a tough draw to come here in these conditions and get a victory against a very good side. So we never lost belief in what we were doing. We were getting close, we were gradually improving, and it culminated into a good victory today.
And the character that they've shown out here, how much of a springboard can this be for the rest of the season?
Oh, massive. Yeah, we've got a turnaround. We've got Bradford Friday night, so we've had no favours done there. But we'll lick our wounds and we'll give that a shot, and then we'll see who's next cab off the rank.
You're clearly a mighty happy man with your boys, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very pleased, very pleased.
Congratulations. Let's bring in the man of the match, Danny Houghton. Danny, how tough was that?
Yeah, very tough, obviously. We withstood some very good Catalan attack there, and we came through the other side, and hopefully it can be a kicking stone for our season.
I have to say, who is your fitness coach? Because I don't know how you do that over 80 minutes.
Yeah, I don't really have an option. I just try and turn up and, go through the hard times, and that's what I've done today.
And how difficult were the conditions in terms of just handling the ball?
Yeah, it was very greasy, but it was the same for both teams, and as you saw, there was a lot of drop ball, but we stuck together. The results haven't been going great for us over the past few weeks, so to come through a very tough game like that is very pleasing.
How much does it mean to you to still be in the Challenge Cup, into the semi-finals?
Oh, it means everything. Obviously, it's a club that's had loads of success in the Challenge Cup, and to get one step closer to Wembley is a massive success.
Danny, many congratulations. I have to say, how you did that 80 minutes, I'll never know. Let's bring in the captain, Gareth Ellis. Gareth, you must be a mighty proud man to have led that team performance today.
Yeah, it was a huge effort from both teams out there. It was like torture at times with the intensity, particularly in that first half. And we just kept at it. We were his own worst enemy at times, making mistakes and putting ourselves on the back foot and coming over here. And in this sort of heat, it makes it really hard work for ourselves. But really proud, like you said, of the boys to stick in there and come away with a win that we deserved.
And clearly had the belief, despite the run that you've been on.
Yeah, well, obviously this game game probably 4 weeks ago when we came out here were probably a turning point on the downward slope for us. You know, we came over here and we were beaten in every department by Catalan. So to come over here on the back of a few bad losses, but turned it around last week against Huddersfield and showed some real fighting spirit and built on that and put in a good fighting performance in tonight.
How much do you think this game has been a focus, maybe a distraction?
Well, obviously we've been looking at it, you know, it's a massive game for the club. Obviously you can see how much the fans really want us to progress in the Challenge Cup. It's something that some of the boys have won before, and it's something that's eluded us like myself, so it's certainly something we're pleased to be in the app for the next round.
Yeah, you said you wanted to come here and win trophies. You're on course still.
Yeah, we're there and thereabouts, aren't we? Obviously, you know, we're a game off now, but like I said, we're in the hat.
Gareth, thank you for your excellent time and well done.
Thank you, thanks a lot.
It was a compelling game in the humidity of Perpignan, and it was a Hull error that led to Catalan scoring early on, wasn't it? And you were very pleased, Ian, with Escar. Well, not pleased, but impressed with Escare's role in this.
Yeah, I was pleased with his attitude to just keep supporting the ball carrier. And he's just behind the play here. It takes a real attitude and a real great sense of a fullback's play to sort of sniff out the ball. And he did that really well. And you felt just straight after half-time, all of a sudden what you spoke about at half-time as a coach, and then a quick try and a goal, you thought, wow, the ascendancy's all their way. But that wasn't the case.
Yeah, we highlighted the youth beforehand. There weren't many tries to enjoy at half-time. We've got more to enjoy full-time. Tom Lynham, the next one, John.
Yeah, obviously a great young player, fantastically strong. A set start here from Hull, which lets them get their best shape organised. Maybe a bit too passive on the edge from the two edge defenders and Catalans, but Lynham's, he's 6'4", be 100 kilos. To stop him from 3-4 metres away from your line is impossible, so it's kind of a flawed way to defend against him, definitely.
I had a couple of tweets here, Jonathan, where, Mike Holmes said it's a knock-on-a-thon, hold the ball and you win this game. Somebody else said, Chris Jarvis, saying the game is too poor for a quarter-final involving two teams are aiming for high playoff places, but it was compelling.
The one thing that won the game for Hull was the defence. We mention it all the time. They got numbers in the right areas. They were aggressive. They came out off the line, and to be honest, Catalan didn't look like scoring apart from the first try. After that, they didn't look a threat, and I think it one because of the defence, but secondly, I thought they had poor attacking options. Their running lines were poor, their dummy runners were poor, and they just couldn't break down the Hull defence. And then all of a sudden, Hull had two chances and took the game away from them. So it was a great performance. We all fancied Catalan at the start of the game.
Although,
John didn't say anything.
John didn't necessarily. Let's look at the other two Hull tries.
Great run from Danny Houghton. Doing what we assumed he would. When Hull get on the front foot, he runs and they get into good shape. And there's huge opportunities off the back of Houghton running the ball. But this is, I think, where Crooks really got the ball back in two hands. I think he hesitated. He just needed to keep running, play to Lynham early. Lynham scores again. And it was just at that point, we were thinking here that's a real critical moment of the game. But you know what? And Jiffy hit the nail on the head. Hull's defence and their attitude to consistently put themselves in the right position for each other won Hull the game. Their attitude to defend the line and really force errors from Catalans, that won Hull the game. And what a great characteristic to have in a team going into the Challenge Cup semi-final.
But you know what? We hit it on the head there. Their attitude in defence was great. Their skill level wasn't great with things like that in their kicking game. But your attitude and your desire comes through in your defence. And that's where it come through when they won the game. Because skill-wise, Jeffy mentioned at half-time, some of the passes from their receivers, their ball players were behind, so made their flow of their attack quite negative. And they're just their attitudes. Look at Houghton again. See, he needs their forwards to control the ball, so he gets this, but he's got the instinct to run, and he's very square and direct. And see, this is now Briscoe and that, they can smell a bit of blood. They're coming in around the ruck area, and McDonald's backing up. But Houghton, see, that's a skill. That's a skill, be able to not only make the break, but have anticipation someone's there and execute it.
Do you know what, as well? What you put into this whole team is Holdsworth coming back into the team. It's really exciting. And Yeaman here picking up opportunist piece of skill, run from dummy half again, and pass to McDonald for the try. But you put Holdsworth in this team, And I think it takes
Well, he gives
the
them a
team to
kicking
the next
game. He
level.
gives them direction because the young fella Miller, who's just come in from Australia, he's only young. He lacks a look. Late in the game, he came up with a vital error with 2 minutes ago, running across field when he should have been saying to the forwards, "Look, you run square and direct, and I'll kick the ball in the touch." Holsworth will bring them composure.
But that could be, a season-changing win for Hull. On the back of their defence, Ellis said, "Look, they toughed it out against Huddersfield, didn't get the result, but." That's the basis that they went to the Catalans on. And I know they won it on their defensive performance. Fantastic.
They certainly did. Let's get the thoughts of Brian Noble, who is obviously out there. You can see, can't you, why Hull have made the most number of tackles in Super League this season, Brian?
They were tough, and they backed themselves on that toughness, didn't they? Because they didn't have a lot of this. And one of the talking points will be how they looked after this and how the opposition did, particularly because it wasn't a skillful game, was it? And I think the humid conditions and a little bit of sweat on the players, it's a little bit of this and the ball dropping it, and when you don't have it. And then Briscoe for me and Houghton, boom, out of the gun, out of dummy half, really got them the field position and the scores.
You just showed us the ball there. John Wilkin pointed out that's the Super League ball. That could have been used before. And rather than a brand new Challenge Cup ball, which might have had better grip.
I don't think so, chappers, and that's a really tough call for whoever. This is the ball we've just taken from the sideline. We don't know where it came from, but the grip on this, even if it's being played with, is pretty good. I think it's the combination of the wet shirts and the humid conditions, the dewy ground, has caused. Once you hit underneath on the ball here, the ball was just popping out, and it's important that we don't focus on that. It's important that we focus on the fact that Hull were tough, and I think they deserved the win. And at the right times, they held enough of it to give Briscoe an opportunity, Danny Houghton an opportunity. And the full-back pushing up the middle was the difference. Whiting as well caused problems around there. So they've made the most of exploiting what they thought were some frailties in the Catalan defence. And boy, did they defend their line well.
Safe journey home, Brian. Thank you very much for that this afternoon. Let's just take a look at the Challenge Cup quarter-final weekend in full. We now know 2 semi-finalists, the Broncos and Hull. On Monday night, you've got Wigan against Widnes. But tomorrow afternoon, on BBC Two, you can enjoy Warrington against Huddersfield with us. Who's your money on in that game, quickly?
I think Warrington at home against Huddersfield.
Now, given your two's predictions, this will be interesting.
Yeah, I think, Huddersfield having a big season. It's a big game for Huddersfield because, previous seasons they've come strong and then kind of just faltered away. Big game for them, but I think home advantage just for Warrington.
Very good. Warrington or Huddersfield?
I'll go for Warrington, but Huddersfield have vowed they won't be out-muscled again in their last game, so it'll be on.
Right, I think you've just sat on the fence there. Anyhow, thank you very much to all you three. After the game tomorrow, we've also got the semi-final draw. It's going to be a cracker. See you tomorrow, 4 o'clock here on BBC Two. Bye.